Yes, hi, hello, welcome back to Gooncast, the podcast that we use to kill 8 people. I am Saber0307, James, hack fraud and Twitch streamer, and yeah. Sweet Jojo
You're
came down.
joined by us,
Hello.
your lovely possible murder victims. I was not
murder victims.
I was not expecting that opening. Hi. So once again, I am Cat Attack, aka the Attack Cat on Twitch. I'm a dialogue designer by day, horror writer / artist by night.
Word, and it's your boy Lee Alder, the Valley Jester, fantasy horror writer, and once again, I'm seeing heavy readings on the EMF tracker. I detect an enemy spirit. We've got another goon with us in the room.
Oh, I'm here.
Ooh.
Oh no.
Yet another honorary goon enters the fray. It's BananaBoat.
Hello. I'm BananaBoat. On here and on Twitch and in life. I have no identity. I'm a ghost.
Same as it ever was.
Guys, did you hear that? Guys, are you getting that?
My hair is standing on end. Just play it back again slower. It means us harm.
Alright, I'm pressing the playback button.
Oh my god.
So in case you
Alright,
haven't gathered, we're here to talk about spooky shit.
Ghost hunting.
Ooh.
I mean, over time, kind of without even planning on it becoming such, this podcast has just become a horror podcast.
Yeah.
But we are, specifically going to talk about spookies of the ethereal and otherworldly nature today.
And how evil dies
because no, not again.
No, it's not gonna die
Never
tonight.
again.
I'm sorry.
This crew in particular has done a lot in terms of like supernatural horror and specifically ghost hunting. So we felt finally it was time to kind of delve into a genre I truly love that is definitely I love it for how terrible it is, not how brilliant it is. And that is the found footage genre. And very particularly, we're going to be talking about 3 films. I guess 2 found footage
we call them
films.
films.
We can call one of them a film.
We watched some cinema.
Yeah.
Some cinema.
We watched some snuff that was on a VHS tape in a parking lot of a liquor store.
El Topo?
You know damn well which one.
We are truly haunted.
Yeah.
Oh.
Around La Cienega, you all know which liquor store.
Oh my god. So yeah, we're gonna start the podcast off talking about some viewing experiences we had, and then go into what has largely become probably the biggest part of Saber's channel, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Pretty much.
The ghosts that haunt him?
The ghosts that haunt him.
The ghosts of QA past.
Yeah.
The ghosts of Balin past.
His dead, tired anime eyes.
Yeah.
Always watching.
I just use the spirit box and the voice just says, "Hey Jackie, check out the rack on the brunette to your right." No,
Oh my
the
god.
other right. It's like, no, not again.
Don't
Yeah.
make me
Alright.
do this.
So we watched Grave Encounters 1 and 2.
Yeah, let's talk about them. All right. So I will kick this off briefly because
Please do.
I think I'm the one who recommended these movies.
You
did?
fucking monster.
So, all right. So to somewhat excuse myself, but really not. There's no excuse. I am just like unapologetically, unironically obsessed with found footage movies. There's just something about the like level of just jank you can get away with. Like they're just my ultimate like comfort food movie. Like where I'm like, oh, I'm working on something. I just need something in the background to just like soothe me so I can just get my work done. Pop on some shitty fake ghost hunting movie. And in particular, Grave Encounters 1 is one that stands out because it's actually kind of one of the good ones in some ways.
In found
Think
footage
so,
terms.
yeah.
In found footage terms, yes. You're grading on a curve. Like,
It's a really low
very
bar.
significant curve.
It's a very low
Yes.
bar.
Yes.
I say that though, where I'm in the same boat as you, and I remember when we first met each other, and we'd been getting into cinema talks and film talks. We discovered that we both were horror fans, and then from that, also found footage fans. Because I remember kind of being like, Cloverfield really opened the door, and you're like, oh my god, I love found footage, and I was like, yes, my people.
Yeah. I'm trying
Fellow
to think-
enjoyers of schlock.
Exactly. Like, so, and in particular, Grave Encounters has a special place in my heart because it's cribbing on all of the ghost shows that I used to watch when I was younger. Like, you know, Travel Channel and like History Channel would just have like a bunch of dudes take a bunch of cameras and random equipment into random houses throughout like the US and like abroad and just be like, we're hunting ghosts. And some of them were fun and interesting, and then some of them were ghost adventures.
Yeah.
Where just the biggest like hack frauds of all time. And that's essentially what like Grave Encounters is sort of not really parodying, but just sort of like referencing. Like they literally have the premise of the movie is that it's this real footage kind of cobbled together from episodes of like the final episode of a doomed like ghost hunting show, where they go into this asylum and it turns out that way more than they fucking bargained for. But like initially, you're kind of led to believe in the fiction of the film that it's supposed to be real footage of a documentary show from one of these like Travel Channel type things. And they even like have a fake intro with the Lance Preston, the main character guy. That's literally
fucking Preston.
It's exactly Zak Bagans' intro from Ghost Adventures. Like there's no hiding it. It's just like, yep, this is our Zak Bagans.
He's pretty
good.
The crew that they compile for this is wonderful because like you're checking all the boxes of like, okay, you got a couple expendable camera guys, you've got the Zak Bagans homage, and then they bring in this fucking warlock, this leathery faced Mick Jagger looking bastard.
Yeah, the psychic, which is a staple of, you know, like these ghost hunting. God, like I remember watching like I think it was Ghost Hunters or Ghost Hunters International, and they would just have somebody who's like, oh, I have a divining rod, and that's gonna be what we use for evidence this time. And you're like, no.
Yeah,
no,
they've always got that guest character where they're like, oh, we're sensing such a powerful energy here. We need to bring in a medium. We need to bring in a professional. And some dude will walk in with like the little circular black sunglasses and like 6 scarves and a bunch of wrist accessories looking like Johnny Depp 10 years ago. Like, oh, yes. Yeah, I can feel the power radiating off this guy.
Or Bess is like the extremely Midwestern lady who's just like a lady. And she's like,
yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, I'm sensing so many spirits in here.
It's real spooky up in here.
Yeah, clutching her pearls, yeah.
Yep. Oh man.
The Grave fucking Encounters. When this came out, this was in the middle of the found footage like resurgence, right? This was like 2010 or 2011 it came.
Yeah, this was like immediately post Paranormal Activity, where it's just like everyone kind of wanted that slice of the pie where, oh, we can make them, you know, all you have to do really is get decent enough cameras, but you don't really have to worry too much about anything else. Like, God knows they didn't worry about the script, you know? Like,
well, that's the frightening thing about found footage horror specifically in general, is all you need really is a half decent camera or two and enough hacks that think they could write. Now, I'm not saying that there might be a Goon found footage horror film that could be possible because we're a bunch of hack writers with some half decent cameras.
Yeah.
But Grave Encounters was part of that wave that was like starting to start trying to capitalize on that market back in the day. And yeah, I think someone mentioned BananaBoat. I think you mentioned Cloverfield as one of like the better examples of something to come out of it. And
wasn't Cloverfield one of like? Oh well, no, I guess Blair Witch was probably like the OG found footage.
Yes,
I believe the Lost Signal came first, but nobody ever saw that one. So Blair Witch was like everybody always likes to be like, actually there's this one other movie, but it's like, no, it's Blair Witch. Like let's be real. Like what
mainstream?
What's the thing that made it popular, guys? Blair Witch.
Blair Witch wasn't the first, but it definitely caused the genre to explode. Because you could get technical and be like, actually it wasn't Lost Signal, it was Cannibal Holocaust. And it's like, yeah, but no animals were killed in Blair Witch, you fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this was part of a second wave I have a soft spot for Grave Encounters, but this was part of a second wave that kind of sucked. Like there was a late 2000s release with Cloverfield, Wreck, which is fucking a masterpiece. Yes. And then we had like this and VHS came out at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I would say it sucked in that like none of them are particularly good, but it rocked for me because oh my god, so much content.
I mean,
and like they were churning them out.
At least
it was
for
just
me,
continuous.
At least for me, there's a couple that were noteworthy. Like I was mentioning in our viewing the other day. I love The Last Exorcism until the last 5 minutes of the movie. I think that's a genuinely great fucking movie until the last 5 minutes when it just shits the bed.
There's a couple of them that I think have good ideas at their heart and just no real means of executing on them at all. Like there was one I watched where I remember watching it or half watching it, right? I remember half watching it and being like, "Oh wow, they actually did something kind of interesting with this. I thought it was just going to be a basic ass found footage movie, but they kind of went in a direction I found intriguing." And I realized on rewatching with other people that I was like, oh, like half of that was in my head, just like theory crafting after the fact. And the movie itself doesn't really give a whole lot of interesting stuff beyond that. But yeah, the found footage genre is kind of special in that, I mean, horror in general, I feel like has a lot of bad entries.
Yeah.
Found footage is just like that cranked up to 18.
Yeah, I mean,
the thing that I've always...
Oh, go
ahead.
No.
I was going to just say that, like, the thing that always drew me to found footage, and especially in horror, because I've always been a horror fan and sci-fi fan, was, though I love cinematography, and, like, Alien is probably my favorite sci-fi horror, and, like, it just looks beautiful, and the feel of it is, like, really what sells it for me. And that's what found footage started bringing to the table with horror, I felt like was another creepy unknown feeling, because instead of having just like a set shot that was like really clear and concise and watching this character scream and run and get all bloody or whatever, you have like shaky camera, half like shots where you maybe don't see the full frame and stuff like that, and then like that leaves it up to you to kind of fill in the gaps between the grain. And I think that really is what added to it. But the thing is that it is kind of something that's hard to do.
Yes.
And you can go too far with the shaky unknown, and you can and you can also go too far the other way where you're just having someone hold the camera completely still and you're like, all right, no one has that still of a hand. Okay.
And you definitely like found footage, especially you get the like, why are they still filming this? Or like, how did they get that particular angle? Like where sometimes it starts just like making cuts that are like, oh, these are film cuts. You know, like where you're like they're getting a reverse shot on a conversation. I don't think so. You know,
and I think that's where Cloverfield kind of set a bar where it wasn't amazing by any means, but a lot of the times where they gave the excuse as to why they were still filming it, it didn't feel forced. And then there was a lot of shots where the guy, I think wasn't it like T.J. Miller who.
Yeah, I think so.
Who was like holding the camera for most of the movie before, spoiler alert, he dies. But there was a couple of shots where he sets the camera down to like do something, and it's like not, it makes it more realistic. But he kept being like, "We have to film it. We have to film this. This is insane."
Yes, and like I feel like that's what the sort of ghost hunting subgenre of this of found footage kind of nails really well, where it's like, yeah, they're specifically there to try to record stuff that's happening.
Yeah, not like, oh, there's a crazed madman who's trying to murder me. I need to document it. It's like, no, I feel like with things like that are supernatural, it makes more sense that human nature, we would be like, I have to record this.
And and specifically the ghost hunting profession, because I've seen a lot of them that are like a bunch of teenagers doing a Ouija board, and then it gets a little bit into like, oh, this is really stupid, or like, why, like, guys, put the cameras down, you're like 17, just fucking get out of the house, who cares? But like, it makes sense that Lance Preston is sitting here like, oh my god, we have to document everything, because
it'll validate my existence and prove I'm not a fraud.
Exactly.
Yeah, Kat, why don't you give us a little bit of the specific plot rundown of Grave Encounter? Set the scene for us.
Okay, so I believe the movie opens with a like sort of disclaimer from the quote unquote producer. So he's like discussing how this was a ghost hunting show that was, or like he was a producer on various what's it called, like documentary style or reality TV show style, like following tornado chasers or whatever. And he claims that this was like one of the first ghost hunting shows that came before all of the others, but it ended horribly, and therefore this has never been released. And like specifically warning that everything you're about to watch is completely real. And we're finally like releasing this to the public.
Yeah.
And then we immediately cut to kind of the opening. It's a very standard found footage opening, where it's kind of, you're establishing your characters, but it's all done in the lens of they are shooting their TV show. They're specifically shooting their ghost show. So it cuts to their intro sequence, and then immediately it's them going to scout the location of this asylum that they're going to be shooting at. And, they go there and they start setting up the cameras, and they're giving a little bit of like introduction to everybody. You get like, like Lee said before, you get like a bunch of camera people, you get some of the like sound background people, you get like the token ladies who are kind of there and like a little spirit sensitive. You get that crazy psychic guy. And it's actually really funny because they're kind of also establishing that they themselves are not maybe as ethical of ghost hunters as like they present on camera, like uncut. You're seeing there's a scene where they're like interviewing a bunch of people, right? They're doing the setup of like, oh, we're interviewing the caretaker and like what he's seen all the time that he's been there, and we're interviewing like one of the security guards. And then they run into a like gardener outside, and they're like, oh, we want like your interview now. And he's just like, I've worked here 6 months, like I haven't seen anything. And then like Lance is just kind of like, okay, cut, like can you just like play it up for the camera, like tell us a story? And he's just like, I mean, I've worked here like 6 months. And he's like, all right, like, do we still have petty cash? And then they like pay him a bunch of money, and it like smash cuts to like the next cut, and he's just like, oh yeah, I've worked here 20 years. I seen a ghost right in that window,
right over there.
And they're just like, yeah, you see, ghosts.
The behind the scenes little bits like that are like what make that opening 20 or 30 minutes so enjoyable. Like I'll go into it when we talk about the other movies, but like the opening 20 to 30 minutes can make or break a lot of found footage movies to me, because they can just
very much
mercilessly drag you along.
Yes, because a lot of times
wonderful in this movie.
Yeah, because a lot of times I feel like they try to make it realistic, like make it like, oh yeah, these people are just goofing around with their cameras, and it's very boring to watch as a viewer. Yeah. Like you get what they're trying to do, because they're trying to just be like, here are the characters, here's how they are, but it doesn't quite work.
Mm-hmm. This movie does a good job of like making me give a shit about Lance Preston and his crew, even though they're all unethical hack frauds. Mm-hmm. Like they're just
which you know nothing.
You see a lot of yourself in him.
Yeah, I do. It's. I think also that's one of the reasons why I fucking also like The Last Exorcism so much. I mean, it helps the fact that the lead actor is Patrick Fabian, who later went on to be in Better Call Saul, and he's a great fucking actor, and he's very charismatic. But like, he's very much an unethical hack fraud preacher in that movie. and like
Mhm.
you, because of his charisma and because of his acting ability, you give a shit about him, and it makes it more enjoyable to watch. Like the guy Sean Rogerson, who's playing Lance Preston, he is nailing the whole Zak Bagans shit, and like the little behind the
absolutely.
scenes
So
moments,
well.
and like with fucking leathery faced Steven Tyler walking around, and then like he does
Yeah.
like, oh, I sense this and that, and then they cut, and then he immediately breaks character. It's
Yes.
it's
Leathery
fun.
face Stephen.
Yes. I would even argue that he doesn't take the Zak Bagans persona like too far, because I feel like watching Zak Bagans in this kind of setting would actually feel less realistic.
Probably.
even though it would actually be more realistic, but just
Zak-
like
Zach has become a caricature of himself.
he's we'll get into that later. But so then the movie proceeds with the very standard ghost show affair of we're going to we're going to set up cameras throughout this entire asylum and lock ourselves in for the night. And, there's no way out. There's no, yada yada. The guy has the keys and he's leaving. So it's just us and the ghosts. Ooh.
It's just us and this insane fire hazard.
Yes. And obviously from there, shit goes very, very wrong. It starts to it starts very, very slow. Like you'll just see, I think the first thing that really happens is the one of the windows opens in the upstairs.
Yeah.
You just catch it on camera,
And then there's
the
wheelchair slightly moves.
the wheelchair moves. Yeah, while the guy is talking on the phone and puts his camera down.
It takes its time.
It does. And then slowly they start to realize they're getting lost in very weird ways in the throughout the asylum, where they're like, oh, pretty sure we were going this way, but that's not the right way. And then they start to notice time dilation stuff. Is that before or after the ghosts start killing people? That might be after.
I think it's after, because that's when they're like, what time is it? When are they coming to open the
Yes.
doors?
Yeah,
And then
and
they were like, it's been 12 hours.
Yeah, one of the cameramen had already
they
disappeared by that point, I think.
Yes, yeah. And they start seeing stuff they open their coolers with food in it, and the food has maggots and is just months and months old, and you're just like, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, obviously this is a horror movie, so one by one the ghosts start picking everybody off. I think they kidnap one of the techs, the main tech guy.
I think it was the camera guy.
Yeah.
Matt?
Yeah, Matt was the tech guy. He was watching he was watching the cameras, but he's because I was thinking of the guy who gets sucked into the bathtub.
Oh, never mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, but because one of the tech guys gets kidnapped, and basically all of the people are either brutally murdered or made to think they're asylum patients, and tormented into insanity, essentially. So that's what happens to Matt, I believe.
Yeah.
And then he just falls down an elevator shaft,
which I had mentioned when we were watching the second one too. How do the ghosts? What's the criteria here that they decide, I'm going to kill this guy, but I'm going to make this guy crazy?
What? Yes.
I want to know the rules behind that.
Absolutely. It is,
The rule is who has the tastier ass. If it's a less tasty ass, they make you insane. But if your ass is tasty, you're dying.
It's basically why Saber keeps dying.
Always.
Whoever they spawned on top of, that's who dies.
Yeah, basically. Oh, it's a rev. Okay. My ass is dead.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. The special effects are not very good.
The CG ones, but some of the practical ones are really good, though.
No, the practical ones are great. I'm specifically talking about the whoa, ghost face.
Yeah, let's.
The CG ghost face.
CG ghost face is terrible.
We need a little bit of a retrospective on goofy 2000s ghost face.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Lee. Speaking of that, can you CGI Ghostface Rocco? And can
Oh my god.
I swore that I would use these powers for good.
you swore that, and then you made fucking Dolphin Fuck World. So.
And then I made 7 corpse party videos. Yeah, you're right. What have I been doing?
Not enough.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. I
More
need more
than you'd
degeneracy.
think, but less than you'd hope.
BananaBoat, you were saying?
Oh, I was gonna.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna just say the problem is that this movie was made during the prime peak of all the new After Effects. So I think a lot of movies in that time, like low budget, mid-grade horror movies, they all have the stock After Effects, like screaming face or like distortion effects and stuff. And it's like, you know what? I'm not going to fully hate them on that because they saw that new software and they just dove right into it. They're like, we got to use this in our movie.
Yeah, they're like, oh, sweet. And now we're like, oh my god, this is so cheesy looking.
But I mean, to set the bar for the listeners, is you could probably imagine it's like, oh yeah, I've seen that exact same copy and paste After Effects and stuff because I think it really literally was the free effects that came with it if you got the trial version back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If people haven't seen Grave Encounters, and like it's one of the trailer shots. It's the like girl on the bed she's like the girl in the corner of the room who just goes as they're like looking at her.
Yeah,
I think the girl was the second one, right? The guy was the first one.
No, the guy was the first one, but the girl is the trailer shot.
I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
For those who don't know what we mean when we say ghost face, we're not talking about the killer from Scream, and we're not talking about the ghost face killer. The really shitty effect of like their jaw drops like 2 feet, like they're an old horny wolf in a cartoon looking at a hot woman across the street going, oh god! The jaw drops 2 feet to the floor.
Yes.
Yeah, their eyes look like James's after a balance session. And is it? Can we trace that back to a stock After Effects thing? Because I was wondering what is the origin of like how that became the shitty standard for doing budget ghost films, and that would make perfect sense if that was just a stock thing that came with free editing software or something. Huh? We might have solved the mystery.
I do wonder though who first started using it in movies.
I wonder why it's still used.
Who unleashed this?
I wonder why it's still used in shit like The Curse of La Llorona. Hollywood.
Oh my god. Oh god, that's right. How dare you invoke its name and make me remember that shitty movie?
You made me watch Grave Encounters too. I can do that.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. So all in all, as bad of a rep as this genre can get with the varying quality of the movies, something about Grave Encounters 1 has kind of endured as like this. Not like I wouldn't call it quite a cult classic, but it's held in a certain amount of reverence, I think.
Yes.
It's somehow survived over the past 10 years. Like it hasn't been swept under the carpet like a there's like a fair shake others, but
yes, and there's quite a few of them that are just like no, we're not going to talk about this one.
Even ones that I thought are good. Like I thought As Above So Below wasn't bad, and then I just totally forgot about it until researching for this podcast. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a movie that I watched.
Yeah, I rewatched that one recently, and I was like, this is pretty good. It's just forgettable.
Yep.
And I can't tell you right now what the plot is.
Yeah, catacombs, and possibly Dante's Inferno allegory.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, sure.
So, words that I'm never going to repeat again in my life. Credit to the Vicious Brothers.
Who?
and that was the thing that pissed me off the most on researching for this podcast. They're not brothers.
They're not brothers.
What?
They're just two guys.
Two dudes.
I know, like, I mean, your last name doesn't need to be vicious, but like, man,
they fucking, but you just commit at that point. You just, God damn it!
I know.
Now my immersion's broken.
My life is a lie.
God damn it! Film and TV is always smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
So anyway, Grave Encounters 1.
Yeah.
Fine flick.
Pretty good.
Fine
I think.
flick.
Yeah.
It-
Good, pretty good enough for Grave Encounters
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh, God. I was like, we need a good segue to the next one.
Just one final thing is like I had minor nitpicks about the first Grave Encounters movie, right?
Sure.
But like
Mhm.
I was super late on the bandwagon watching it. I only watched it a few months ago for Halloween and whatnot, and you know, especially with me playing Phasmophobia a hell of a lot more, you know, I really enjoyed like the ghost hunting shenanigans and even though I haven't seen Ghost Adventures, which we'll get into when we get to
we'll get into it.
Demon House. You know, I've become a fan
Spoiler
of,
alert,
of
James.
Zak Bagans hackery.
Oh my God, he's amazing.
and that's why I love Grave Encounters despite the nitpicks and whatnot. And
Mhm.
you know, it was a really strong setup, and then we get to Grave Encounters 2, and the first 45 minutes is a bunch of insufferable cunts. And
Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ.
All right. Okay, so let me
Oh,
preface
boy.
this by saying that I did recommend Grave Encounters 2, and I have said I enjoy Grave Encounters 2.
Yeah, I don't blame that.
I do genuinely, like, as we were watching it, I was laughing my ass off so hard at just the movie itself. So I do enjoy it in a very perverse way, but I completely forgot how much bullshit there is before you actually get to the, like,
The ultimate bullshit.
the actual, like, yeah, the actual, like, hilarious bullshit. Because there's stuff in there that's just like, why am I still watching this? Like, why is this part of the film? And another thing is too that, like, I think one of the reasons I brought it up as a film I enjoy is specifically like the meta aspects. I do really like it when movies approach a sequel as, what if the previous film was a film in the universe of the next film?
Right.
Where it's like the Human Centipede 2 did that.
And we should all aspire to be like Human Centipede 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What was
Exactly what I'm saying.
I forgot the other reference that I was
It's like-
mentioning.
Yeah.
Blair Witch did that. Blair Witch.
Blair
2.
Witch. Yeah,
Yeah.
Blair Witch did that too. Yeah. And like I like, especially in terms of like found footage or like disturbing horror movies, I genuinely find that like Human Centipede 2 took it in a direction of like, what if some creepy weirdo got obsessed with the movie and tried to recreate it, and like that's the, oh my God, this is so fucking, it's one of the most disturbing movies I've seen. But like I felt like Grave Encounters 2 took it in a like not as horrifying way, where it's just like, oh yeah, it's just some douchey film student who's just like, I want to do research on this. I want to, like, you know, prove that this actually happened or didn't happen or whatever. But yeah, they definitely don't quite stick the landing, even though I like the concept.
Yeah.
And I think the idea could have been cool.
I'll
I
give you that the concept is really, really, really solid. It's just
Yeah.
the main character.
The characters
is such
are
a
awful.
douchebag, and all of his friends,
Yeah.
except for maybe the love interest, because she's just generic stock
Yeah,
love
she's just-
interest. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're all just insufferably douchey.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, they definitely take that, like, it's a horror movie, you can't wait for them to die, and turned it up to a point that, like, the first 40 minutes just aren't even enjoyable to watch. Where you're just like, you're not giving me anything to go, like, because the first 40 minutes have to be that, like, slow burn build-up kind of thing, or, you know, not slow burn, just like, hey, get to know the characters. And yeah, for some movies that can work, but typically those movies still have like one or two characters that you can kind of latch onto as like, okay, this person's hanging out with these douchebags, but like they're kind of cool, and that's the perspective you get. You know, like your typical slasher, like final girl.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And
Evil
like,
Best Tonight.
you know, yeah, yes. Oh God. But yeah, and I like maybe the love interest was supposed to be that, but she just didn't have enough
No.
Yeah.
meat to her
Or-
character.
Or the tool can be likable, like Lance Preston.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
Exactly, where you're just like, oh, sure.
yeah, and at least for me too, like some of his leaps in logic were a bit silly. Like when he goes to the film studio and he gets kicked out and he's like recording himself, it's like, I got kicked out. They totally have something to hide. It's like, no, you broke into a film studio and you're not supposed to fucking be there. Of course they're gonna kick you the fuck out, you dumb fuck.
like
Yes.
he like tricked his way. Well, he got ghost help. That's the other thing for this movie. There's a lot of like
a lot of haunting.
Yeah.
Eleanor!
Oh
the
my
ghost
God.
calling her and bringing her to the house.
Oh, I'm remembering more of this movie now and getting angrier.
Yeah,
only
it's
been 2
literally stuff where
days.
like the ghost will send him send a thing to his printer.
A YouTube comment as well.
Send it. Yeah, YouTube
Yeah, it
comment.
sends him a
and-
dick pic and goes like, "Hey, here's my address, bro."
Yeah, so the ghost sent him like a call sheet for LA and like a fake name or something to get in, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Okay,
like,
here's my major issue. It's hey, we had a mildly I'll use the word successful. Hey, we had a mildly successful movie about a haunted asylum that like plays tricks on the minds of the people in it. What should we do for the sequel? Let's not spend time in the asylum.
Yes.
Let's take half of the movie getting to it.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
And
then,
not even do anything interesting with that half.
No,
and then do new weird shit involving like a gateway to possibly hell.
Ugh,
Yeah, I feel like the huge missed opportunity in the sequel, especially for something that's like low budget and like kind of a culty thing, is explaining the origin or actually getting to the insane asylum quicker and spending more time in there and discovering more things about the history of it, the patients there, the doctors there, who's stuck here, why are they possibly stuck here, or something like that, like explaining the rules.
Or we had discussed, like, I think during the movie or possibly immediately after, like, you have the ghosts of the previous victims of the people who were killed, like, of the ghost hunters who were killed there.
Yeah,
like, it's like you do something crazy like that where it's like yeah, that might have been a little bit too like on the nose and obnoxious, but I think it still would have been better than what we got.
No, they get to the asylum. Here's what this fucking infuriates me. We've got a movie and it's about like spooky haunted asylum, badass. At least this isn't a movie about a bunch of douchebaggy kids with a Ouija board. And then a bunch of douchebaggy kids go to the asylum and find a Ouija board.
Yes.
Hold on. They say it's a spirit board and it's carved
Fuck
into the table.
Off.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You know what we mean.
I know.
we didn't
I
even
just don't want to get
Ouija
sued by
board.
Hasbro.
God.
We also we didn't even explain the whole reference of the camera crew being ghosts because of what has happened or what happens in the movie.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The reason why we bring up like, oh, you know, there's the camera crew, they're ghosts. That would have been a cool reference to make. That was just a missed opportunity. At one point during the movie, once sheer insanity had flipped its switch on, and the main character, well, they run into one of the people from the first one. Go ahead, you can explain.
They meet Lance Preston, who has been in there for 6 years by himself and just gone absolutely nuts. And Sean Rogerson does a great job.
He's the
like,
only,
I think
he's
he
the
was
only character I gave a shit about in that fucking movie. He still is really good.
Fun. Yeah, he gives a really fun performance. But continue, BananaBoat.
Oh no, please, you explain the first one. Finish up and explain the second one.
Sure. So, so yeah, they run into him, and then, you start to like, essentially the plot of the driving force of this movie has been, instead of like an outside character, namely the douchebag main character, trying like desperately to get in and like find the truth, it's been the ghosts wanting to make their own movie, and like it doesn't make any
film.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense because like the first, like, so that's why we were like, hey, it, you know, maybe like maybe if it's the previous crew that's like still, like they have unfinished business, they want to still make their, like make their big debut or whatever. They don't know about the original movie, so they're trying to, because then we get the fucking best CG of the whole franchise.
Oh Christ!
This is what After Effects was made for.
BananaBoat, do you want to describe
this was worse than the CGI Ghostface.
Well, Lance and his sheer insanity, and then he realizes that I need to finish the film. The ghosts want me to finish the film. He starts trying to do that, and all the ghosts pick up all the cameras that are on the property and just start following him around, a la Mari cameraman, through the insane asylum to finish the film. And there is just all these floating cameras around him and just terrible CGI. But that was another point that is like, that should have been the camera crew ghost. Like, we'll make a throwback to the first movie, especially if you want to say that you're like a cult classic type of film. Give your fans what they want, the OG crew.
Yes. Oh my god, yeah, like 100%. Like, if you're gonna just go the like, hey, it's a cult movie route, go as ham as possible. Fuck it,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
like,
have fun with it, because the fans will.
It's not a time for tact.
Especially not for fucking grave encounters,
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah.
So I'm sorry,
what a
everyone.
gigantic piece of shit. I can respect that I can respect that you like some aspects of the movie, or you like, throw it on in the background while you're working on some other projects, but holy shit, I messaged you like half an hour into the movie. It was just like, what the fuck is this?
Very. I think it was when they were going to interview his mom, who was like just like riddled with dementia, and thought her son was like still like, I don't know. It was very much a tangent that was supposed to be spooky and went nowhere. And Lee just in the middle of it is just like, Cat, why?
You've done this to me.
The fuck is this shit?
I was like, huh. I mean, not even Axum brought him to that, so I felt very bad. Yeah, he was mad at Axum.
Stop talking about Axum.
Also, don't forget the Grave Encounter Cinematic Universe after credits scene.
Oh my god!
Where Nick Fury walks in.
We
have not seen.
We would let the credits roll, and we were just chatting and stuff, and then all of a sudden a scene started playing, and we're like, oh, there's an extra bit.
There's post credits in this.
Where there's a letter dropped off in a little drop slot in the door, and a hand reaches down and picks it up. Camera pans up, and it's Ed Warren, and he opens it up to a set of coordinates for the asylum. And he goes, "Honey, you should take a look at this." And then Stinger cut to black.
Oh my god, it's Patrick Wilson in old man makeup.
Yeah.
Oh god.
The post-credit scene basically boils down to the love interest and the other stock girl character being like, man, why haven't you fucked the douchebag yet? I've been throwing myself
why
at him.
haven't you fucked the creepy sex pervert yet?
And I'm just like, really? This is our post-credit scene? Okay.
My favorite little bit from that is the other stock girl, who's the sound girl in this one, is like setting up the camera. She's like, hold on, I'm just gonna, okay, I'm ready. And then they're talking, and then at the end, the love interest goes, were you filming this the whole time? And it's like, she literally was saying she was setting up the camera when this first started.
But sound girl goes, no, I'm not. Oh no, I was. And you're like,
please. I just realized too. Because when Sound Girl gets left alone, right, and she grabs the camera to see in the night, the dark, she then goes, "Oh no, how do I work this thing? I don't know how to use the camera." It's like, well, I mean, one, you're in film school, and two, we now have a post-credit scene that shows you filming yourself with the other girl, so you know how to work the camera. God damn it!
Don't look for logic here. It doesn't exist.
More hobo Lance Preston. That's all I want.
Going off the like trope of because they definitely were written at the beginning 40 minutes of the movie like just douchey college kids, but they were so stock bros and like jocks, but they were supposed to be the nerdy like camera kids, like
Yeah.
the film kids, which would have been a actually really great way to make them likable and make the viewers care about them more, to have like this, oh,
Yeah.
I'm kind of awkward and weird and I'm just a film person and they're a film
Mhm.
student. Instead of just watching these like bros chug beer and then like haze each other and then like put
Yeah.
balls on each other's faces. And I'm just like,
Oh
why
my
am I supposed to
God.
care that these kids are going to get killed by ghosts? Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like there's some element of like I think it's supposed to be like dramatic irony or whatever, where the kid is like talking about how he's gonna be like the next like great horror film genius. Like I think he said the next Carpenter, right?
Something
Yeah,
like
And-
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Carpenter.
And then we watch scenes of him filming his like final like student film project, and it's awful.
Yeah.
Like it's just so bad, and I think it's intentionally bad to be like, this guy like thinks so highly of himself, but he's actually really bad, like really terrible.
Yeah.
But it's like the film doesn't have anything to say beyond that about that.
Yeah.
Like that's never a thing that becomes like more obvious the more he like delves into his research, that like he's in way over his head and he's just like an idiot, right? But like that never really comes, like he keeps just like stumbling into other things where it's like
I think he accomplished his mission though, because I think he set out to be Halloween era Carpenter, but he
Mhm.
succeeded in becoming Ghost of Mars era Carpenter.
Yeah.
yeah, and like yeah, it's just it's silly. It's
And-
very like they could have done something with that, like if they really wanted a douchebag, like to turn up the douchebag main character thing. But then one, you need people around him being like, "Yo, dude,
Balance.
you're being insane," and
Yeah.
like I'm the likable person. You don't want me to die, but I'm gonna die because of this guy's asshole hubris. Or you need him to be a nerdy film student who just becomes obsessed with this weird like cult following horror film and is like I think it's real. I think we're gonna figure out like where they're just like, no, like you're like you don't want to do that. You're in way over your head. And then like the more he
He
a
just
sort of
drags his
descent in,
friends in.
a descent into madness sort of thing.
Which would have been a lot more fun of a ride.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially since the last 40 minutes of it is basically just, let's do Grave Encounters 1 and except for it's on
But
fast
faster.
forward. Yeah. So it's just they get to the asylum and shit just is immediately bonkers. And again,
Yes.
it also has that same problem with the douchebag being like, oh, he's the cop, the security guard. He's definitely hiding something. He knows something. That's why he kicked us out. No, you're breaking and entering into private property, you fucking douche.
Yeah.
But I will say, and I called this out when we were watching it, even as stupid as it is, I did very much like that scene where they got to the hotel, they got in the elevator, and they went
Yes.
down, and then they wound up back in the asylum. As
Yes.
nonsensical as that is.
It is that was like one of the only really effective. I remember specifically, that's like the one scene I remember of this movie, and that's probably why its opinion was slightly elevated in my mind.
And
Because I
and-
do like that scene a lot.
and yet it's not even the best scene about an elevator we're going to be talking about today.
Oh my god. Yeah, true.
We'll get to that one.
Is that our segue to the next?
That
to
can
the
be
next
our
film?
segue.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
fuck
I
Grave
mean-
Encounters 2. This movie
Yeah.
blows.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not worth it. The first one, I think, it's the first one is charming in its own way if you like ghost hunting as a concept.
Yeah.
It's probably the best of the found footage ghost hunting movies. But yeah, it's not a high bar by any means.
I think if I had watched it in 2011, I would have eaten it up and like
Yes.
really been like, "Oh my gosh, this is another found footage.
Yeah,
This
which
is great."
I
But
think is when I first saw it. So yeah, it's definitely like to
to
of
watch
its
it
time.
today, I just can kind of appreciate what it's got going for it, but it's aged.
Yeah,
for sure.
At least for me, I think if I saw this when it came out, I probably would have written a lot of it off, because even though I've kind of had like a casual interest in like paranormal shit and ghost hunting shit, like I said, I've never seen an episode of Ghost Adventures. I don't even think I really knew much, if anything, about Zak Bagans. But then after 500 plus goddamn hours in Phasmophobia and seeing clips of Zak Bagans online and whatnot, I think that made me like Grave Encounters a lot more. The first one, anyway. Not so much 2. Like, I like Grave Encounters 1. I'll probably buy it on Blu-ray. I don't think I'll buy Grave Encounters 2, though.
No. Well, so...
Speaking of hack frauds, though, Demon House is the best comedy I've seen in years.
Oh my god!
Right.
Enough making references to Zak Bagans.
Yeah, let's dive right in.
Fucking fraud.
Let's enter the carnival of souls.
Oh my god,
James, I think you need to talk to us about Demon House because boy, I could tell you really dug this.
I really, really dug this because Zak Bagans is just the fraud I aspire to be. Like, I can tell there is there's probably at least a little bit of genuine sincerity in regards to his interest in the paranormal, right?
Sure.
Yes.
But he's very much he's another P.T. Barnum of ghost hunting.
Yes.
Like Ed Warren.
He has in his like past, apparently, like when he was younger, like as a kid, he had a ghost experience, and that's what basically compelled him to initially do ghost hunting. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, nowadays he literally has a like Zoltar machine of himself in his museum of curiosities.
We all have to go to Vegas at some point and check out the Zak Bagans Museum.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
please.
On this topic,
Goon field trip.
I was researching this shit for the podcast, and I found the just greatest little tidbit of knowledge. So he had a short-lived program in 2016 called Deadly Possessions, and it was about him acquiring the cool haunted shit that he would put in his museum, and just the steep drop off in quality. It took 3 episodes. Episode 1, he gathers the doll that inspired Annabelle.
Okay.
And he gathered a Dybbuk box from the Holocaust.
Wait, isn't the wow, okay. Isn't the Annabelle doll still with the Warrens? Or with the Warrens estate?
I thought so.
Does he have it now?
He was not able to procure it, I believe, but the episode was about him trying to. And then just a few episodes later, that aired on April 2nd. On April 23rd, it was about him getting a TV set that Charles Manson owned.
Oh my god.
Spooky.
Like, I know.
Oh my god.
Like, from
and he's trying to say the TV is like infused with dark energy and shit.
It's got some cult energy on it.
Like, I know he owns Jack Kevorkian's van, and that's super interesting. But the TV that Charles Manson owned?
Yeah, just the TV that Charlie owned.
No.
I love it.
Zach, honey, please stop.
No, never stop.
Never stop.
Become worse.
What's funny in going off of the steep decline, Demon House, like for everybody who's listening, if you've ever watched Ghost Adventures, imagine Ghost Adventures where there's the 5-minute prequel of them interviewing people who work or live in the haunted space and kind of building up the backstory for you. And then the rest of the episode is them inside ghost hunting, right? Demon House asks the question, what if there's no actual ghost hunting and we just interview the people who live in the house for an hour and a half?
Yeah.
And that's not an exaggeration. Banana put it perfectly.
And then shamelessly tie.
Oh no!
Awful
I don't even.
tragedy.
Honestly,
Oh my god!
Honestly, we shouldn't even mention it because it's almost as dirty as him bringing it up. It's so irrelevant. It should not even. 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon shouldn't even make it to this podcast. Like the way that he pulled it in was so disrespectful.
It's so bad.
It's extra hilarious too because then he forgets to mention it in his final like wrap up speech about how the ghosts. How the demons affected everything, like everyone in his crew. He just doesn't remember that he tied a fucking real murder-suicide into it.
Let's revisit that a little later on. Let's set the scene properly for Demon House.
So it's mostly Zak Bagans talking about this spooky ass house in Illinois.
Indiana, I believe. I think it was Indiana.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's
near
No
Gary,
difference.
Indiana,
Yeah.
and how it's this family lived there and they got spooked and they had to move out, and that this is like a super demonic hotspot.
Well, so
No, they didn't even have to move out. If you, I know there's a lot.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot to keep up with, but if you remember at the beginning, he kind of, they allude to that he kind of kept harassing them.
Right,
and then
right.
I think he got to a price point that they
Yeah.
agreed on, and he paid them to move out.
he literally he read about this demon house in a newspaper. I think in some like, I don't know, some rumor rag or something like that, and he decided to buy it sight unseen from them.
Oh, beautiful.
He couldn't get the thought out of his head.
Yeah,
I might have
and
been dealing
then
with JoJo during that part.
yeah, no, like literally, he was just like, I had to buy it, so I bought it without ever having gone to it, and now this is the movie about me going to the house and like basically trying to like, he feels entitled to talking to the previous owners about their like haunting experience.
Oh, the
Wow,
whole thing
there's a
comes
movie
off as like an
studio.
hour and it's
Yeah.
it's an hour and 20 minutes of Zach trying to flex all this clout like
Yes.
he imagines he has.
Absolutely,
And
And
absolutely.
they're
And-
having none of it.
yeah,
and
there's
also
like I think the grandmother talks to him, and like one of the like
the brother.
the
The
brother,
brother, yeah.
and also the like a woman who previously lived in the house in like the 90s.
Yeah.
I don't think the grandmother did. I think it was
No,
that.
it was one of the grandmothers.
Okay, one of them, because he mentions the other grandmother then, the one who, unless I'm getting them both, and then I'm confused, but she did like an interview with the local newspaper to be
Yes.
like, my daughter's lying about all
Yes.
this ghost activity.
That
None of that
was-
stuff happened.
That was the other grandmother.
That was the other one. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
my bad.
because it was literally like I think it was like step grandma or something was saying that like
yes.
her and her family know nothing happened there.
Yeah.
And that she's making it up because because she had Child Protective Services called on her a bunch, and it was just like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
oh yeah, it was like my kids get treated badly because the ghosts.
Yes.
My
Yes.
kids swear at me because of ghosts.
Yeah, my kids aren't doing their homework because the ghosts.
And like there is some genuinely spooky kind of like history to the house. Like there have been a lot of deaths in it, but it's also just kind of like, yeah, that people die in houses sometimes.
Yeah.
And
then-
people get murdered in houses sometimes, and
And
it's
then-
not necessarily demons.
And then we get 10 minutes to where the cameraman is apparently being spooked by ghosts, but it's
Oh my
really-
god.
It's pretty clear that he's a tweaker.
Yeah,
like,
he
Yep,
just
let's
smoked
talk
a
about
meth
Adam.
at the
Yes.
motel
No.
that they were at.
this is the elevator scene Lee brought up. So Lee, I want you to paint us a picture.
Let's have a chat about Mr. Adam Albrandt. Okay.
Yes, please.
This dude. Okay, so this guy is one of the camera operators for Zach. He's been in the background of a few shots leading up to this point of like, confronting Zach when Zach would be like, oh, I felt this presence come over me and it made me aggressive and I wanted to like beat the shit out of our consultant. It's like, okay, well, Zach, calm down. And Adam himself seemed to be like a fine, upstanding young gentleman until the energies of the house got to him.
Mhm.
And he begins going on this violent, loud tirade in a hotel, like skulking through the hallways, yelling out at unseen combatants. And at one point, he believes he sees an 8-foot tall black goat demon inside of an elevator talking shit at him. And Mr. Adam Albrandt is not a man to be talked shit at by an 8-foot tall goat demon. And it becomes hauntingly clear as soon as they sit him down and start getting some one-on-one footage with him that Mr. Albrandt has a little bit of a drug problem. And it's very convenient that his field of work with Mr. Bagans allows him to pass off these activities as demonic possession. When in fact, he needs to get clean is what he needs to do.
Mhm.
And then
Holy
Zak Bagans, with the no shame that he has none of, or
No. No shame.
No shame. He then is like trying to paint more of a picture that after making this documentary, Adam has spiraled into demonicry. I don't know what a good word would be. And he's like, he got 666 tattooed on his hand, and I was like, he kind of just looks like a dude that would do that. Like he was covered in tattoos, like had gauges.
I had to let Adam go from my crew for his own good, and as soon as he was gone, the energies of the house followed him, and he spiraled deeper into demonic obsession. And it's just like there's like some shots of him like in goth like goth attire and like black metal corpse paint.
Yep.
And like me being a metalhead, I'm like, that's a good look. And it's like him modeling with this hot alt chick. It's like, okay, he's living his best life.
Yeah.
If you look where that photo comes from, it was from a movie he did about a guy who's addicted to like snuff films. And then he becomes a prisoner to a dominatrix. And that's like a shot from the movie that he did.
Wonderful.
But like Zach painted it as if it was some sort of home video.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like Adam has lost his mind.
That's what he is now.
That's what he does now.
And he's an actor. He's filming a film.
And my favorite part is that I had to do a little delving into like what happened to this man after the filming ended, and I had to hit Kat about the follow-up. I found a quote on Reddit. Apparently, Adam did a podcast called Breaking the NDA, where this podcast host likes to take people who are currently under NDAs and convince them to break them on his stream.
That seems legal.
Wow.
Oh, it's a terrible idea.
Oh,
and Adam, not giving a fuck, decided to break his NDA and talk about the behind the scenes of Demon House and basically what bullshit it is.
Yeah.
And the quote that I sent to Kat was, quote, from a Redditor. Pretty sure he's in the midst of being sued for breaking an NDA. He makes very dark horror movies and has acting credits. He did a YouTube show called Breaking the NDA, but it was like 2 hours long and he kept taking bong rips and I couldn't keep watching it.
I love it.
Oh my
god. So clearly
yes.
He's still under demonic influence from the powers of the Demon House.
And that's actually one of the things too, to cycle back to the start of this documentary, like Zach kind of like foreshadows some of the stuff that's to come. And we were all laughing that he was just like, I had to fire somebody because of spooky shit. And it's like, did you, Zach? Did you? And then, we get there and it's like, oh, it's because he was a tweaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's because he was on drugs on your set and was probably pretty dangerous.
I think any work environment would let this man go.
Yeah, right?
Like,
but you have to keep to the true hack fraudery of the program, and you have to cover up real life events with some veneer of spooky bullshit, which we will again cover in the final act of this film.
Oh, yeah, that's the segue to the final act of this film, of our theory as to why this movie's made.
Yeah, let's not forget the true reason Zach had to make this film. Because he's getting old.
Yeah, Zach woke up one morning. Zach woke up one morning and he pulled the carton of milk out of the fridge and he wanted to take a look at something on the label.
Expiration date.
and he couldn't quite make it out. And he's like, oh no, what have demons done to me?
Yeah.
Honestly, is Zak Bagans mentally in the 1800s? I got bad eyes. It was the witch.
I gotta cure this with some laudanum and masturbation.
Yeah, like on that note, like everything that he mentions of like people that involved with the film, bad stuff happened to them. Like he goes off in this tangent on like all the shit that happens to people, and it's like they're all weird, just normal accidents, like, oh, a dude fell down and broke his hip or some shit. Or like the guy,
like one of the guys got cancer.
Yeah. 2 months after being in the house, he got diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah,
it's like
okay.
And then another like his expert, it's like all of his organs started to fail, and it's like you look at his expert, and it's like the dude looks like 70.
That man's
Yeah.
old. And then there was that one woman they mentioned, and then it was like all these injuries she got. It was like because she was just she was in extreme sports.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
she sprained her ankle, she's twisted her wrist. She did all this stuff.
She,
Like,
she
yeah,
broke
she
a
was-
rib extreme skiing, and you're okay.
This
Like,
man
that's a
broke
thing
his
people do.
This man broke his arm while riding his bike. It's like, yeah, that's a risk that happens when you can ride your
Oh,
bike.
they should have just
Yeah.
they should have just gone fucking vicious and gotten some like close-up footage of the holes and collapsed veins on Adam's arm and been like, this is stigmata.
Oh my god.
They couldn't
Yeah.
go vicious because they're not the vicious brothers.
Bwah, bwah, bwah. Oh my god.
I wish the Vicious Brothers did Demon House.
God, that
would've been
imagine.
fantastic. CGI
The-
Ghostface Zak Bagans.
Adam, are you okay? I had to release Adam from the program because he was a monster.
Oh my
He was
God.
clearly possessed.
He was clearly possessed.
Oh,
But yeah,
All right, so
man.
lead us
wait,
into the
oh,
third
wait.
act of this shit show.
hold on. We forgot to mention the text message
Oh,
from the
Oh
beginning.
my god! I hope you're not already possessed.
oh, man.
Yeah.
If so, nice knowing you, brah.
So Zach, he texts a lot of people when you're ghost hunting. That's how business is conducted. Just
Sure.
you text people fucking walls of text to
Mhm. discuss
your demons.
Yeah.
he ain't gonna let some
and-
monsters get in the way of his Sigma grind set.
Yeah. And he of course is going to share with us, the audience, some of those correspondences, and he shows it on screen for like a fraction of a second just to highlight like one part, but he
He
captured
forgets
the
people can
entire
pause movies.
yeah, exactly. He captured the entire thing, and so we paused it and we read the whole thing, and oh my god, like the company this man keeps, I have no idea, like what, like why you would send someone all of this in literally a wall of text. It was like 3 paragraphs, just like run-on sentences, and whoever he's texting, I think it was some like one of his psychics or something like that, and they were like talking about like, oh yeah, no, I'm getting real readings on the house. This demonic presence is definitely an 8 out of 10 on the demonic scale. right below Satan himself.
Yeah,
And
10
we were
is
just
the
like-
devil. 9 is David Cage. We're at an 8.
Oh my god, if David Cage haunts our house.
My favorite
Oof.
thing though was seriously how that text message started with like, "Hey man, hope you're not possessed yet." Like,
Yes, exactly. So yeah, this whole movie has been basically just Zak Bagans interviewing people, and kind of just, he hasn't lived in the house, I don't think, at this point.
No.
Because then then we get to see him live in the house.
which
Oh my god.
he, the whole documentary starts out where he's like, "This is the first time I've even been in Indiana, and I'm now here at this house that I purchased online, and it's completely empty and like gutted out essentially." And then he's like, "All right, they're gonna lock me in tonight," and they have now plyboarded all the windows and doors and stuff, and as they're putting on the last one, he's just peeking through the split. You guys remember that, like watching the
Yeah.
camera,
Yeah.
and then it cuts
because-
inside, and the whole place is furnished all of a sudden. Like for some
Yeah.
reason, for this
Yeah.
ghost hunt, they needed props.
we watched him bring in, I think, like a bureau or something, and we were like, what is he doing? And then the entire place just has like beds and cabinets
And dolls.
for some reason.
Things that I thought were going to be flung across the room in
Me
dramatic
too.
fashion.
Me too. I was like, this is ridiculous, but all
Little-
right. Again, you need props.
Little did we know
also,
nothing was going to happen.
also, Banana specifically illustrated the scene where he's getting shut into the house perfectly by saying that my dogs give me that exact same look when I'm
Yeah.
closing them out of the room.
That's literally what it is.
So yeah, picture that if you will, but a like 40-year-old man.
Question mark.
Question mark. Well, he was probably in his 30s at this
Ancient
point.
vampire.
Yeah, I mean, really, as we discover, he's an ancient vampire.
Yeah.
he takes dirt from the house.
He does.
Forever. Anyway, keep going with the third act. What happens after Zak's been sealed in the house?
So the last 2 minutes of the movie, he's now sealed in the house, and he's just sitting on the bed, and then just screams, and it ends on, "I thought I saw something, and now my eyes are real bad, and I had to get glasses."
and
he specifically says he got diplopia, which is double vision, which I looked up after the film, and that's just something that can happen to like adult humans. It's actually very common for like middle-aged people to develop double vision. Like, it is not something that's like, oh, totally unexplainable. It's just like, yes, we use our eyes, and sometimes they fail us.
My favorite part about that is we see him set the camera down before the spookiness happens, right?
Yes.
And the camera is conveniently somehow out of focus as he sets it down. And then like 30 seconds later, the spook happens, and we see like some shadowy thing on the blurry, like the out of focus camera, and it's like, Zak,
it's so obviously a thumb.
My dude, what are you doing?
He lost his Ghost Adventures crew, and he just lost all the spark.
Yeah.
You know?
So Ghost Adventures, for those of you.
I was just gonna say, I still can't believe they furnished the house for him outside of the bed. Like, they gave him the TV, and they gave him the dolls.
Yeah, there's a TV that's like,
I remember
even plugged in.
Saber was like, "Where the fuck do you even put a TV in there?" Like, sure, you can like furnish everything fine, but a TV? Who's gonna watch TV?
Yeah, who's watching it? You're staying one night. What are you doing?
Why did you fill it with dolls, man?
They're like, dolls are spooky. This is a good set piece, right? Set director is like, man, we got a $10 budget. That's what I found at the Goodwill down the road.
Yeah. So for Ghost Adventures was originally like Zak Bagans was like the head guy, but it was a crew where he had his buddy Aaron, and I think Nick was the other one.
Yeah.
And Nick left like I think 2 seasons in. But so Ghost Adventures is like 30 seasons long. It's like just like it's insane how much they've milked out of going to random places and dude broing at ghosts.
Yeah, like I remember watching the Red Letter Media review of Demon House, and Mike said how many seasons there were of Ghost Adventures, and Jay just broke down laughing. It's like, I believe that less than I believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
But it's like
it's kind of insane.
A year, so it's like
and I have seen, I want to say 10 of them. And yeah, they're great. Like, they're exactly the main problem is they're exactly this level of hack fraudery, except they actually have ghost shit happening, which if you believe anonymous Reddit posters who claim to have been like PAs or like people working on the sets, like most of it was fake. Where like they have a very infamous or like one of the things that got them started specifically was footage of a brick getting thrown across a room. And supposedly that's completely fake. But that was like the footage that basically kickstarted their careers, as like that's what got them their Travel Channel show. And then like the PAs will say like, you know, all the stuff where they like hearing voices or you know, hearing things thrown in other rooms.
We're the unpaid PAs.
Yeah, we're unpaid PAs, like screaming in the distance or something. So
checks out.
You know, but yeah, it's like that level of hack fraudery. But like they couldn't even like put on a show for this. It was just kind of like, I guess maybe he tried to make like sort of like a exorcism documentary kind of thing. But even that didn't like we get exorcism footage. It's very boring.
It's very boring, and it's a bit exploitative since it's on the
it's a 14-year-old girl.
A 14-year-old girl who apparently attempted suicide 2 weeks prior.
Yeah,
and it's like this is
because
like Jesus,
disgusting.
Because the original house owner also had exorcisms performed, but Zak was not invited. So, you know, he takes what he can get, right? But it's also just like Yeah,
Yeah.
it's also just like, why is she even and then to cap off the film, he gets the house demolished.
Yeah. So
So-
Yeah, after
no
all
one-
that, he destroys it.
Yeah.
nobody can look at it ever again, and then he claims that people keep going to the ruins of the house and holding satanic rituals. Even though, like as we know, Satanists, all they are is just free loving people. Like, and also, according to Best of the Worst, they have a lot of anal.
I don't know. Conjuring 3 taught me that they were necromancers.
Yes.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is true.
Yeah.
Fuck Conjuring 3.
No.
God damn it.
Guys, it's definitely a Satanist in the basement.
That's a Satanist in the basement.
That's
the
what was
Satanist
happening
has grown
this
too
whole time.
powerful.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
gonna spook you so you rip off The Shining. But yeah, Demon House is
Yeah.
the best comedy I've seen in years.
Oh god, it's so funny. The best joke was the first time that this woman shows up at the house and she's like, I used to live here in the 90s, and she's come with like 3 kids, and Zak's like, oh, you probably don't want your kids to come in here because like there were 3 kids for the other house and they're all possessed now. Ooh. But she's just like, whatever, and one of them is the girl that like unfortunately has a like very real like suicide attempt and then has to get like gets exorcised and it's very messed up. But basically like he goes out onto the porch to watch them leave after they've like just been hanging out in the house, and like the mom gets kind of like spooked and she's like, okay, we're leaving now. He's watching them leave because he's suspicious that the kids may be possessed. And he's standing on a porch that's like a Midwest porch. So
in a blizzard.
It's one that's like it's covered, but it's all like what's it called? Screen doors, screen windows.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's still out in the open, and there's a blizzard. And Zak just goes, oh, cold with these demons.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, Zak, the demons are why it's cold, not the snowstorm you're standing in.
Also, he's decked out in like winter jacket and everything. Why are you still cold?
and his 6 skeleton gloves.
Well, it's because it's because of the demons, Banana. It's the demons made him cold.
Chilling him to the bone.
Yeah.
Chilling him to the bone.
No amount of winter clothing can prevent you from being cold with these demons.
While we've been chatting, I was looking at like critical response of this, and apparently Steve Barton of Dread Central, which is an online horror blog, said the film was, quote, one of the single most compelling documentaries on the existence of the supernatural that I've ever witnessed.
Oh
this man needs to watch more documentaries.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think even that like terrible Exorcist the Exorcist documentary from Friedkin.
Yeah.
I feel like even that's more compelling than Demon House.
Oh my god.
Not the same production value though.
Like this film was a gigantic piece of shit, but in the total opposite way of Grave Encounters 2.
Yes.
Like this was a treat.
Mm-hmm.
This was wonderful.
Surprisingly, Zak Bagans is more likable than all the characters in Grave Encounters 2.
This is the difference between Fear Street and Wish Upon, basically.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Whereas Wish Upon is just a beautiful dumpster fire that ascends into a dumpster fire butterfly. Fear Street is just sewage. And that's kind of like, Demon House versus Grave Encounters 2. Zak Bagans is just such a fucking beautiful hack fraud who's just so shameless and exploitative. But like I said, there seems to be a bit of genuine sincerity in regards to his interest in the paranormal and doing this outside of just I want to milk this for all it's worth and have 39 goddamn seasons of Ghost Adventures in this documentary and demonic possessions in my own museum. And I think when I was looking at him on Wikipedia, there was like fucking 6 or 7 different other spin-offs to Ghost Adventures.
There's like Aftershock.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't remember the others. Yeah, but there's a bunch of spin-offs.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, just on the wiki itself, it's like there's aftershocks, serial killer spirits, screaming room, quarantine, which is I guess ghost adventures during the pandemic.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, and then like okay, so filmography. There's Zak Bagans Paranormal Challenge, Paranormal Paparazzi, Nightline, Deadly Possessions, Halloween Wars. What the fuck is Halloween Wars?
Evil Dies Tonight.
Apparently,
Evil
I
Dies
guess
Tonight.
it's a spooky thing on the Food Network.
Yeah, I've watched that.
I guess
actually.
maybe he was
What?
a judge on this.
Yeah, I
know,
guess he was
yeah,
a
he's
guest judge.
Oh no, he's the
Oh, that's
host of
cute.
it. He's the host of it.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then there's the Haunted Museum series and all this other shit. Yeah, there's 213 episodes of Ghost Adventures plus 47 specials across... What is the exact amount of seasons? Jesus Christ.
I think it's 22?
21 seasons.
Wow, that's close.
That's insane. But
Hey, there's a market for it.
I love it. Well,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
us.
We're doing a podcast about it in 2022.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And now that I've seen Demon House, I may go back and just watch the entirety of the Zak Bagans.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Honestly, the first season of Ghost Adventures is such a treat. Like,
Yeah.
for years, my college friends and I would just like quote the like from like the first 6 episodes would like quote things at each other. Like that's where the like is this the axe you use to that's where that
kill
comes
8
from.
people?
It's the hundreds.
I want to get that.
Oh, actually, my friend made a rap from the first like from sound bites from the first 6 episodes.
All right. Well, if you have that rap, stick it because that could be that could be the stinger for the podcast.
Oh my god, I will send it to you. It's called "Dude, My Body."
Oh, I love it.
That's,
yeah, like
yeah,
like I had seen. I think it was God. What's that other ghost? The other big one, Ghost Hunters.
Ghost Hunters.
Yeah, I think that's the one I had seen bits and bobs of.
Yeah.
In my childhood.
Ghost Hunters actually has some like not any of the spin-offs. Like Ghost Hunters International is a crock of shit.
Yeah.
The original Ghost Hunters though with oh my god, I can't remember their names. Yeah, Mike and something I forget. But they like because they were Jason, I think. Yeah. But they were plumbers by day. And so a lot of the investigations like they have like an hour-long show and typically they do I think 2 like investigations during the show.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'd go like a couple episodes with them just finding no evidence. Because they'd come to these houses and they'd be like, oh, well, here's your problem. Like, you're getting a cold spot here because this wiring is like wrong. Or like the sounds you're hearing are because your pipes are doing this thing. Like, they would actually use their knowledge of like construction and architecture to disprove things. And that was actually kind of cool. And then it lended a lot more legitimacy to when they would see something where they're like, I really can't explain how we caught this voice on camera on tape. I can't explain how we're seeing this like, like like they caught like I think on like one of the like plantation episodes they caught like just a pair of legs walking across the like backyard, and it was just like nobody was out there, and we can't explain why. It's just like a heat signature of legs walking, and like I don't know, like it could be a ghost.
Yeah.
I think Ghost Hunters was the show too that had the lighthouse episode where there was like a ghost that looked down at them, and they're like, we don't know what that was and stuff. So
because they saw it and then actually ran upstairs to see if somebody was up there. Yeah, and like they couldn't find anyone, and there was no other way off the lighthouse, so it was just like, oh shit, like. And but yeah, and that episode was like sandwiched by like 6 episodes of just like
nothing.
Oh yeah, no, your house is fine. There's nothing in the house. Like if you're still spooked, we can send a priest to bless it, but like we're not finding evidence of ghosts.
Yeah, and they had that one episode too where they were at a bar, I remember, and like the people who owned
They were faking it?
they were faking it, and they were so mad. They like
Yes.
found a hydraulic thing up in like the
Yes.
ceiling, and they were like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yes, and like they had a setup. They had like the lights rigged to flicker, and they were just like, why would you call us here? Like, why would you call us here if you're intentionally pulling the wool over people's eyes? And like, we specifically find evidence like that.
We
Like,
look
it's just
for
like,
this.
yeah, like, oh my god.
Ghost
But
Hunters
yes.
is definitely like the refined version of ghost hunting entertainment. And then Zak Bagans came in, which I don't even know where he's from, but I feel like he's got a Las Vegas performer-esque.
He's the showman. He's the P.T. Barnum. Yeah.
So yeah, he comes in and is like, I can do that, but only Vegas style. So it's like a performance.
Ghost hunters will give you like, it's like the Wolfgang Puck with like the nice hamburger.
Mm-hmm.
And then fucking Zak Bagans is like Guy Fieri.
Yes.
Like, I'm gonna take this burger and cover it in mac and cheese and pile drive it into a bucket of ranch dressing. It's like, okay, absolutely.
It's gonna taste good, and you're gonna be full at the end of it, but you will also be less of a person. It takes a little away from you at the same time.
The equivalent exchange.
Exactly. And then the other one that I remember from my childhood a lot was Scariest Places on Earth, presented by Linda Blair and narrated by Zelda Rubinstein.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yep, I remember that one.
That one was I remember I watched a lot of that and then
But that one was also less about evidence and more just about telling you and I think recreating like scary things people said happened.
Yeah, and then I remember
cool. That's fine.
I remember when I some years after I started watching it, there was an episode on the Jersey Devil, and I decided to look more into the Jersey Devil because I thought this was fascinating or whatever. And then I found this big tell-all from the crew that was involved in that episode because they specifically hooked up with some group of normal people who investigate the Jersey Devil, and they had this big tell-all. I was like, yeah, that entire episode is bullshit and sensationalized. We didn't find shit. It's just, we're fascinated by the Jersey Devil and we were happy to participate, but then it was just the sensationalized nonsense that came about for the episode. But it's still entertaining, and it allows me or others to hear about weird paranormal bullshit and then look into it on our own. It's fun. It's fascinating.
So what you're saying is you like to get personally involved with ghost investigations.
Is that
right?
a segue?
You bet your fucking ass it is.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, final thoughts on Demon House.
Best comedy I've seen in years.
It's great for fans of Zak Bagans. So it's great for Zak Bagans. And it very much showcases kind of what we love and what we dislike about the man, where he's got a level of like genuineness to him that's like, oh, I really, really, really want this to be real, but then also this level of greasy showman that just kind of really like is a little bit too exploitative to really admire,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I want to be Zak Bagans when I grow up.
Yeah.
And James did give us expressed written permission to use his death for
monetary gain.
For monetary gain.
Yeah,
through horror schlock.
I said that when we were watching Demon House, and I'll make it official in the podcast. I give BananaBoat and Kat and Lee express permission to exploit my death for monetary gain.
Yeah. When we're making our grand ghost hunting opus, or magnum opus, we're going to specifically tie your death into the hauntings that we're experiencing, even if you died many years before and many miles away.
Yeah, I believe my exact wording was, James, when you inevitably get murdered.
Yeah.
I was about to say, now we just got to murder him. And then the paychecks just start coming in.
On the plus side, I won't have to play Balin anymore, but on the downside, I know I'll go to hell and I'll have to test darkness too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no, in hell you're testing Balin too.
No.
Yeah, your soul gets trapped in Balin, and every time someone boots up the game, your soul is there.
I just have to watch them fuck a dolphin over and over again.
My final thoughts on
Same
the
as it ever
movie
was.
are it's okay to blame your shitty behavior on ghosts. Just say, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm a piece of shit. My
Yeah.
house is haunted. It's really fucking with me, because that's the general message.
Yeah, you know what,
It's
guys? I'm sorry for being such a piece of shit and such a hack fraud and an asshole all the time. My house is haunted. That's why JoJo's a war criminal too. That's why you
I broke
tease
my
all the
leg.
time.
Damn ghosts.
I've really wasted this last year of my life. I could have just kept drinking and said it was demons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Shit.
I wouldn't have rear-ended that guy if it wasn't for the ghosts.
Last thing is when he's just getting like the stories of all the bad shit that's happened, and the police officer just starts going off on like inane bullshit that like he believes is because of the demon. Like, oh yeah, I went to the local deli and I wanted a roast beef sandwich, and that goddamn demon turned it into pastrami. It's like, get the fuck out of
Oh
here.
my god,
Yeah,
that's right.
Also, about that police officer, I want to see some ID, because his uniform did not look up to code at all. I'm pretty sure he was wearing a VFW baseball cap.
Do you
It has
think
some strips of tape over it, like in suburban Sasquatch.
like Saber, I was going to say, do you think Zak Bagans bought a fake police officer outfit
Yeah,
and was like,
Yes.
hey, can I give you $20? So he literally did what Lance Preston did with the gardener. He just paid a guy $20 to pretend he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, his shirt was like still had the iron crease presses and the sleeves, like he had only just worn it for the first time, not for 30 years of service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts on Demon House. If you like documentaries, don't watch it because it's a bad documentary. If you like horror movies, don't watch it because it's not a horror movie. If you like just Zak Bagans' brand of bullshit, this is right up your alley.
Yeah, if Zak Bagans is your like go-to ASMR in the background, throw it on.
I do use him in place of conventional pornography. Yes.
Yeah, I believe it. Oh man.
So yeah, James, you mentioned you like to be hands-on with your investigations, and this is the era to be living in to live out that dream.
It really is. So we
Just
Oh, go on.
I was just gonna say, just like how Paranormal Activity kicked off the second wave of like the found footage genre, this next thing we're gonna talk about kicked off a whole wave of something.
Yeah, it did.
And we can't shove it back in the box fast enough.
Yeah,
Nope.
I think I had like briefly heard about Phasmophobia when it had launched, but I think we were officially all kind of introduced to it, or at least me, Kat, and Lee anyway. When Natalie was like, "Hey, I played this game with some friends. This could be fun," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing like, this is 2020, so I'm like doing this back to ghoul nonstop horror shit, and it's an excuse to hang out with Kat and Lee and other people on stream. Let's do Phasmo. Sure, it's ghost hunting, and." I believe, like, we did Pacify first, and we did like an hour or so of Pacify, and we were mostly unimpressed with that. And then we switched over to Phasmo, and it was promising, but I think the general sentiment among the three of us, was it was not that great, because we were kind of shackled to amateur difficulty, and we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. And I decided to kind of keep prodding the game on my own to see what the fuck was what, and that's when I kind of discovered my genuine love of digital ghost hunting. The second I got professional difficulty and just calling the ghost a fucking stupid cuck simp ghost and running the risk of getting my ass eaten. And now it's over a year later, and I have 500 hours logged into this fucking game.
Only 500?
532.
You outdid my Cyberpunk record. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's low. I feel like they haven't been keeping track of something.
Those are rookie numbers. You gotta pump those numbers.
Well, I mean, I decided to calculate it too with the Phasmo clones, because there's been a shit ton of Phasmo clones, as we've seen. I'm not including Devour because that's its own kind of beast, I think.
Fair.
Yeah.
but if just going off of the Ghost Hunter games, collectively, since I started in October 2020, I have 611 hours logged into ghost hunting games, with the most being, of course, Faz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's at least for me, it's sort of like you were mentioning, Kat, that shitty found footage horror movies is kind of like your comfort food, and that's kind of what Faz has become for me.
Yeah.
Of just kind of like diving in and just kind of just it allows me to kind of like, I have to focus on something, and there's like this investigative puzzle nature in regards to figuring out what the spooky little haunting is. I kind of really dig that element, and it did help me get through kind of like a very difficult portion of 2020 when I had to say goodbye to Rocco, where I just kind of I think that's what really kind of kicked off the phasmophobia thing for me, because like I had done it a fair bit with you guys and we were having fun, but like I think for a good 2 months that was like nothing. That was like the only thing that was on my channel was just Phasmo.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it was just solo professional Phasmo of just like I'm able to like still stream, and I have to concentrate, and I can get spooked, and I can kind of keep my mind off of hurt or whatever, while potentially getting my ass eaten by a goddamn revenant or a demon or whatever. And then there's been all these goddamn fucking Phasmo clones that have been coming out, and I've tried all of them, I think. Anyways, enough about my Phasmo. What about your guys' Phasmo?
So
well,
yeah,
we kind of all got dragged in with you.
A little bit. Oh,
yeah. Once we figured out what movies we were going to be talking about today, it kind of made sense with how much time we've all put into the respective games to like, yeah, this is a really interesting period of time where this is the new hip thing that all these devs are working on. And it's a very niche horror genre. And it's kind of been a while, I feel like, since that's happened. I think there was like a resurgence of a zombie craze when The Walking Dead came out and got big. But for this to be like such a niche little slice of a genre to blow up is just really weird.
yeah, it's reminiscent of like when Slender came out, and then like
Yes.
all
Oh,
those
God,
fucking
yeah.
Slender clones came out, and then
Oh,
like
fuck that shit.
even pre-Slender a bit, like when Amnesia came out, and there were just all these Amnesia clones coming out, or
Mhm.
even post-Slender when PT came out, and now it's just nothing
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say
walking sim horror
PT clones.
games.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
phrase.
so I mean, I think out of all of the clone fads, Phasmo clones have been probably the most creative I've seen. Because we're seeing some where like I don't think any of them quite reach the heights that Phasmo does.
No.
But some of them do pretty interesting things, pretty clever, unique things. At least from the ones that I have played.
Yeah, like Forewarned, where they take the concept and apply it to like, Egyptian mythology.
Yeah, and you know, kind of also, you know, took some of the things that the Phasmo dev removed when he said he would put it back as a real thing when it was a bug.
Oh, the mimic?
Give me my mimic ghosts, god damn it.
Yeah.
Well, I want the ghost to walk around wearing my friend's face when they die.
I had some good moments early on with my friends where I'm like, why are you so close to me? And it's like, I died. What?
Yeah. You're like,
oh no. Yeah,
but then it would like bug out and just freeze on the stairs staring at me.
Oh my god. Yeah, like when did you get into Faz, Banana? Since like me, Kat, and Lee, it was like the same thing with Lee. And Lee, I see you as leathery warlock now. God damn it!
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I got into Phasmo like right away. I've always been into horror games. And I honestly can't even. This is almost spooky. I can't remember how it came into my life. Maybe it was a ghost who messaged me on YouTube. I don't know. It was
always a part of your life.
But I do remember getting into it. Very similar situation with you guys, with another Discord group, and same thing. We just, we dove in. We're new to it. We don't know what to do. We're locked into amateur, so everything is not really scary or spooky, and everything just ended up being boring. But what really hooked it into for me was really who I played it with made it funny. And that's what really heightened the play experiences, though we didn't know what was going on and we weren't getting really necessarily good scares or just like, what the fuck is this game? It was the small moments where it's like, it just breathed on my back, and your friends scream running out of the house or something like that. That really added to the experience and made me want to keep playing. Whereas all my friends stopped playing it because they did hit that wall with what are we supposed to fucking do? This is boring. And I kept playing and I got through that hump, and I also stuck around for updates and bug patches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I ended up being able to experience it more on a grounded level, and I was like, oh, this is actually a pretty fun game, but I still feel like I get more fun playing with people. I'm not insane like you and a hack fraud enough to go and do solo
0%
professional
sanity
level
asylum, baby, solo.
Saber, and I just get bored. I like playing with other people, but I also because I had always been into ghost hunting shows and stuff, and I had kind of like Zak Bagans, except I didn't build a career off of it. When I was a kid, I had a ghost experience, an unexplained experience that kind of pushed me into being like, what the hell was that? And then just learning more about ghost hunting and stuff. And then when I was in college, I was actually part of the ghost hunting extracurricular or club.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Which
fucking
was
nerd.
Yeah, so I've had a few of my fair shares of holding some EMF readers and be like, is anyone here with us?
Yeah, I made a ghost hunting film in college.
Oh hell yeah!
I dragged there
Watch
was
Party Win.
I mean, it exists. It's somewhere on a hard drive, but I dragged a bunch of my friends into one of the buildings on our campus was rumored to have been a tuberculosis ward back when that was raging, and so therefore, and the basement, which was where the a lot of the art studios were, was supposed to be a morgue. And we didn't find shit, but it was fun. And I think I kind of have a little bit of the opposite experience as at least Ashley and James for sure. In terms of getting into Phasmo, because I remember the first time I played was specifically James being like, hey, found a co-op game, let's all jump in and play this. And I was like, okay, cool. And we kind of hopped in. We didn't do the tutorial because fuck that. And then I really didn't like the game. It was really weird and confusing, and nothing was happening, and it was just it would just be nothing happened, then a ghost killed you, and you were just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? This is awful. And the game only really clicked for me once we unlocked professional difficulty.
Yeah, I had to drag you kicking and screaming back in.
Yeah. Very much I was I don't really want to play this again, and then I don't even remember why we restarted, but
I had played it a lot solo after our initial thing, and I was like, trust me.
Yes.
Just trust me.
After a healthy session of self-loathing and a 6-pack of Blue Moons, James can be very persuasive about things.
That's true. That's true.
That's how I got y'all to watch fucking JoJo.
Yeah, that's true.
That is very true.
And Twin Peaks.
And Twin Peaks.
I am a very persuasive motherfucker.
But yeah, my history with it is I grew up in a haunted house. My mom's place for years had all sorts of heavy shit happening that my brother and I dealt with. Which, maybe that'd be a cool topic for a podcast in the future, real life experiences. But we had I think we had a poltergeist because there was a lot of physical activity, things being thrown around the room and all kinds of crap. I'll go into another time. But so I grew up with the spoopies, and I was dragged kicking and screaming back into fucking Phasmo by Saber, and I'm glad that happened because it is a great just shut off your outside world for a little bit and just key in on some fine details. Like Kat, I think it's similar
Yes.
to like how you look at Myst.
Yes, it is. It has a very zen gameplay experience.
Which is funny because it's like scary, but
Yes, yeah. And when it is scary, I feel like it is effective, but for the most part it's like you're solving a puzzle. You're playing detective.
That's like one of the things with a lot of people, other people that I know who play Faz, where like, how are you able to do Faz solo and whatnot, or like, aren't you scared? Like, and because if on my stream, I'm very stoic throughout most horror games. I have a very high tolerance for horror bullshit, especially jump scares, like, oh, spooky or whatever. And that's for me like what really made it sort of a very therapeutic experience, and why I kept going back to it is sort of that zen-like experience of just like, this is a puzzle. I have to think and keep my eyes open and keep my ears open and like pay attention. Like I'm not necessarily the best with ghost behavior yet, but there have been instances where as we've been streaming where I'm like, all right, this ghost is, because I mean sometimes some fast sessions can be really fucking bullshitty where the ghost is just not fucking doing anything.
Yes.
And just trying to like work out what the fuck it is can be just really satisfying.
Yeah, no, very much so. Like, I mean, and especially with the new hardest difficulty where, they literally remove a piece of evidence, so you have to kind of know how a ghost behaves.
Yeah.
Like that it's a very like fun it's a fun like chill time with friends. And I think that's why it's lasted for us for so much longer than so many other co-op games or like multiplayer games.
Yeah.
Just because there's this level of like sure, we'll jump into Dead by Daylight or something else just to like, kind of like get the blood pumping. But Faz is just like the great fallback of like, I just want to hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
And fuck, if we can, do it in a spooky high school and catch some ghosts, all the better.
And then occasionally subject ourselves to really, really asinine, stupid, bullshit, hard challenges. Like, we're not going to
like
use
no
flashlights.
lights.
Yeah, No Lights High School, which was
awful, my god,
but wonderful. And then
it's glorious.
And then despite how awful and boring the setup time is, I've had so much fun with our 0% sanity runs, just because it's like
0%.
You walk like 5 feet and there's a hunt. It's like, oh god, I gotta hide.
Yes. 0% sanity is a fucking joy. I've loved doing that one. Like, just, and Asylum's like the perfect map for it. Just that huge map, so half the time you're just like, I just need to be as far away from the ghost as possible. But yeah,
and you just hear
it's
it
wonderful.
stomping around, and you're like, oh god, where is it? And it's thrilling.
And the hilarious bugs we've found where it's just like, oh yeah, like if it's the Banshee, if the person that she's targeted obviously they patched this out already.
Yeah.
But if the person that she's picked as her victim just stays in the van, no hunts ever happen.
Yeah, that led to a lot of super smooth runs, or I remember early on where we were able to like levitate a player with the drawers.
Oh god, yes, that was awesome. Yeah,
that one moment where Zumbi died, but then he didn't really die.
Yes,
and he was just walking around with us.
He was just running after me.
Ooh.
Oh my god. Yeah, there have been so many like fun moments just because it really lends itself to just like, it's just a group of people hanging out together and goofing around, and we're yelling obscenities at the AI and getting our ass eat, and it's
especially in the last few months where they've drastically overhauled the game multiple times. There's been this joy of just having to relearn everything.
Yes, and I will say, I think this dev in particular is really, really good about like taking criticism and learning and improving, because like a lot of early access games like don't really do that very well. Like they'll add more stuff, or I mean like we tried to play Pacify, right, and it was just completely broken on so many levels.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the general vibe of early access games is that. But this dev has been so responsive and so engaged with his community, and like also discussing the people who kind of like have followed him and made games, sort of the Phasmo clones, where like this one, I forget which one it is. I think it's what was the first Exorcism one?
Ghost Hunter Core.
Ghost Hunter Core. Yeah, when Ghost Hunter Core was like, yeah, we're doing exorcisms, and people kind of came back to him in his forums saying, hey, why don't we get to do something like that? And his reasoning was, because that's not that's not the feel of the game I'm going for.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you being able to counter the ghost or remove the ghost entirely just doesn't vibe with the atmosphere of the game that I'm going for.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, that's totally fair. Like, stick to your guns, man.
Yeah. Exactly.
But then also adding stuff like the Phasmo tracker actually into the game, where it's like, oh, hey, people clearly really, really want this. They clearly want something to improve their detection of their detective abilities. So why not just make it a gameplay mechanic?
Yeah, like that Phasmo tracker got us through so many instances of just being able to narrow down the ghost a lot faster, as opposed to just having to scroll through the journal tedious, like, over and over and over and over again. And then when it was finally implemented as a mechanic, it's like, fuck yes, this is what we've been wanting.
Yes.
The ability to rule out evidence.
Yes.
Like, makes
oh god, it's so good.
So much more satisfying. And then just updating,
and it doesn't. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, updating stuff and taking criticisms in stride, like the whole nightmare difficulty. Like, everybody wanted something harder than professional, and of course, because it's difficulty, everybody had their own different ideas as to what's the best way to do it, what's the worst way to do it, etc., etc. And we all dove into Nightmare when it came out, and it was fun, but there was a lot of frustration to it, just because the ghosts were they were like hopping between rooms way too frequently, and they weren't quite as distinct enough to be able to like easily tell just based on behavior. Not that determining behavior is easy, but like, if you know what you're looking for, you can figure out, like, oh, it's a revenant, oh, it's a shade, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, whatever. And then, like, he took that in stride, and it was like, okay, I'm going to update the ghost behavior so it's much more distinct, and there's a lot more specific tells, so if you know what you're looking for, you can figure the shit out. I'm going to include the Ouija board 100% of the time on Nightmare, even though that was only for, like, a month or two, because then they did the Cursed Possessions thing, where Ouija board
which I love.
random. It's so good.
Yeah.
And, like,
it adds a really fun... It's like a little treat on top of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Where it's just like a fun... Oh, yeah, I can just... summon a hunt at will, or
I can use these tarot cards, and I run the risk of instantly fucking dying.
Yep. I still haven't, and I really want to.
It's fucking hilarious.
Exactly.
I'm still remembering that moment where Lou stole the tarot cards and is like, I'm gonna pull one, and it's like, all right, well, tell us what you got. And she's like, fuck you, no, I'm not. And she pulls one and just instantly drops dead. And it's like, all right, well, I guess we know what that one was. Yeah, and just seeing people, like, I've also seen some people comment, like, with the Phas clones, they're like, oh, I hope this flops or whatever. And it's like, fuck, I want to see them succeed.
No, it's good for the genre.
Yeah, I want to see them succeed and do unique things that Phas doesn't do, and I want to see what Phas does to counter them.
Yeah, because if you just exist in a void where you're the only thing in it, right? If it was just Phasmophobia, he would have no need to change anything up or improve anything because it's just like this is what you're getting, right? You have a monopoly on this particular genre. But instead we have this group that's now kind of like growing and learning from one another and you know, responding to one another's changes and you know, adding different things.
Yeah.
It's a really cool space to be in, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah, and
Also, no video game genre has ever had just one video game that fit it.
yeah,
Generally,
Exactly.
like there's
Exactly.
always copycats in a way, but people
Mhm.
try to own their own narrative, or they added a spin on some sort of game mechanic, and that's what brings in different fans to the genre. And it's like you don't have to like it. You can go ahead and say Phasmo's the best one, and that's the only one I'm going to play. That's fine. But maybe someone plays Phasmo and they're like, I like this, but not as much. And then someone plays Forewarned, and then it's like, whoa, I really like Egyptian history, so this is perfect for me. And that's great for those devs because it like the game isn't any less fun than Phasmo. It's
Yeah.
just not the original. It's like
it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that, Banana, because like a friend of mine, a fellow Twitch streamer, Rio, like he digs the genre of like this sort of thing, but like because of the amount of downtime that can happen in Phas, like it doesn't necessarily click as well for him. But he's super into Egyptian mythology, so it's like Forewarned is like, yeah, I fucking dig this shit. I will play more Forewarned,
Yeah.
sort of thing. And it's like, that's cool. I really dig that. Or
Mhm.
just seeing different people's takes on how to exorcise a ghost, or what ghost evidence can be. Like, I super dig how, even though Obsidio is very janky and it has a lot of issues, I really dig the fact that the evidence to determine what the ghost is based off of ghost events. And it's just this
Yes.
list of like 100+ possible ghost events. And you don't need all of them. You just need to click them and whittle them down and just use your observational skills to figure out what the fuck you're dealing with. Or there's this one, it was supposed to come out months ago, but the dev, God bless them, is very adamant that they want a very polished experience for the early access version, so they just don't want to shit it out onto the floor. And I respect that, considering that, like, as you've seen, like with Ghost Hunter Core Obsidio, or that one that I played recently, Somni, and then Ghost Exile, there's a lot of jank in early access stuff.
Do you have you know, I'm curious because you've played a lot of these, but also I guess I want to hear from everybody who has played more than one, more than just Phas. Do you have like a ranking of, you know, like your feelings on?
Yeah, I do. So far anyway. Like Phas is my favorite. It's kind of my go-to. Just it's the one that I've spent the most time in, and I like where it's going. And then that's followed by Forewarned, because it's unique, because of the whole, like, it takes the Egyptian mythology concept and just does something different with the ghost hunting investigation thing. This would probably be followed by Obsidio, even though I haven't played it quite as much because of the whole like the observational evidence element of it. And then probably Ghost Exile. I think that's been a very strong debut, but it gets a lot of points docked because it's, as of right now, just very Phas-like. Of all the Phas clones, it's the one that's the most identical to Phas and doesn't quite have its own unique identity just yet. Ghost Hunter Core would be afterwards. You know, after that, it's gotten a lot better since it launched, but there's still just a lot of that frustration from when it first came out, where the ghost is just non-stop burning through your defense items, which was frustrating.
Right. Yes, that was very annoying.
I did not have a fun time.
No.
In those early weeks of Ghost Hunter's Core.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
And then Somnia, which was the one that I most recently played, is probably my least favorite, because it's definitely so far the jankiest, and it really seems like playing it solo, there's really no point to it, because it's just too tricky to navigate through. But I'm very much looking forward to the Huntings, which is the one that I was mentioning, where it's Phasmo but with character classes. And
Yes,
I like that
I'm
idea.
I'm pumped for that. Yeah.
Yeah, like you get a priest, you get the Zak Bagans type, you get a videographer, and all this other shit. It's like, that's cool. I can dig it. Anyways, what about you guys? What's your ranking?
I don't have near enough experience with the genre to really do a ranking. I've
Mhm.
put a lot of time and love into Phasmophobia,
Mhm.
and only just really dipped my toes into the others. I don't like Ghost Hunter's Core
Yeah.
basically at all.
Mhm.
And Obsidio, from what I played of it, was fun. The observational evidence is super cool.
Mhm.
I haven't touched Forewarned, but I would like to at some point.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, mostly I'm just a Phasmo simp.
I'm pretty much in the same boat. I haven't dipped my toes at all, really, in any of the other ones except for Phasmo. I have
Mhm.
seen Saber play and you guys play Forewarned, but I don't really know anything of the other games. I've heard of them, but I haven't watched them or like actually dove into playing them or looking into them more.
Mhm.
But yeah, Phasmo, I just kind of have nestled myself into Phasmo and I'm pretty comfy there.
Yeah. I mean, hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I think like I haven't played as much as James, but I've definitely joined for, and I definitely haven't played any solo, but I think I've joined for maybe a few more than you guys, and I would say my ranking is probably very similar with Faz at the very top, and then yeah, Forewarned is next for sure. And especially after this last update, it felt really good.
Yeah, that new update is so fucking good.
Yeah, I like Obsidio. It's got a long way to go. And yeah, I hated the Ghost Hunter core. I think of all of them, it's the one that, at least initially, I know you said they've changed a lot and improved a lot. I think it's the one that got the appeal of Phasmo the most wrong.
Yeah.
Which, like, you can argue, oh, they were trying to do their own thing, and it's like, no, they weren't. They basically just said Phasmo's boring. Let's do a ghost hunting one that's not boring, and then it just became this frenetic. Like, you don't even have to investigate anything. You can just step one toe in the house, and the ghost is already like spitting 5 pieces of evidence at you, and you're just like, okay, cool, bye.
Bye.
This is the one too where you can get attacked in the truck, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I remember
it's like a
this.
30-second gameplay loop, and you're just kind of like, okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah, it's.
I think that was the. Go ahead, Saber.
Oh no, go on.
All I was gonna say was I think that was the one that you bought me to play with you guys when it first came out.
Yes.
But I didn't find time before you guys had already you had played it and hated it so quickly. You stopped playing before I had a moment to actually join you.
I mean, I go back to it from now and again, so you're more than welcome to join me every so often.
I'd be interested just to finally check it out for sure, but I just wanted to make that comment because I was like, I do remember this now because I remember the short blip of time we talked about it, and then you were already playing Forewarned.
Yeah, it was part of the frustration stemmed from apparently there was a bug where every single time like the ghost was supposed to be agitated, it was actually not like counting one, but it was counting like multiple. So the ghost was getting way too agitated way too quickly. And that was part of the appeal for some people. Like, I know Dusk was like very much into the idea of just this constant threat. And there is a bit of an appeal to that, but within reason. And having to burn through like 10 crucifixes or 10 statues of Mary within a single session, especially given how expensive they are in game, is just that's less fun difficulty and more frustrating and tedious difficulty of just like, okay, the ghost is just gonna just keep ramming this one crucifix non-stop over and over and over again. It's like, that's not fun. That's a bit more frustrating.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
And they've definitely scaled that back down considerably, where I think even in the most recent update, the pacing is much closer to Phaz, where the ghost is less willing to give you evidence, and there's definitely risk of death, but it's not as instantaneous as it was with like at launch, where it's like you walk into the house and the ghost is immediately like, I'm gonna eat that ass, and it's like, all right,
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah, I
It was I think I played one session with, I think it was you and Lou, I think. And
something like that.
literally the core gameplay loop that I remember. Oh no, it was you, me, and Lee for that very first one. And I remember the core gameplay loop was all of us going into the entrance together, and then just you dumping a bunch of stuff and being like, oh, I got this one, I got this one, I got this one. And we would never have to go further than the entrance because the ghost was just immediately there.
Mhm.
And then we were burning crucifixes, and then we just like hightailed it back to the van really quick. And it was just like I remember seeing this like this big map and being like, oh, can I go inside? And they was just like, no, we don't need to go inside. And it's just like, well,
Yeah.
I think I would say I could tell it was a bug, but then that's how they released the game. So I have a feeling they at least played it a couple of times before they released it.
Yeah.
And I think they were just like, yeah, that's what we want. And then realized, oh, but it's not what everyone else actually likes.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing with Somni as well, was like I walked into the map and like I was telling you guys offline, like the tutorial for that is literally just you click a button on the bulletin board in the lobby and you just have some audio file play that explains the mechanics, as opposed to like the Faz tutorial where it's like, hey, here's all these items, go have at it, and it's like a little safe house. There's a ghost in there, but it's not going to attack you. You can figure shit out, figure it, whatever. Or even the way Ghost Hunter Core does its tutorial, where it's like, in the lobby, here's all the items, you can play with them and figure out what they do. It's like, it's boring listening to just this...
Yeah, a dude
complete
talk.
stranger talk to you. Yeah. And like in Somni, it's like, I'll walk in, and there's, as far as I know, no sanity mechanic. It's just RNG as to when the ghost attacks you. And
a very basic UX lesson to learn for people developing, like, small-time developers, small indie developers. Do not just talk instructions at your players.
Yeah.
That's not a good way to deliver information or like gameplay knowledge.
Yeah. And I that's why I've only done 20 minutes in that game.
I think despite the fact that I didn't like Phasmo out of the gate, and that's why I've kind of given a lot of these Phasmo clones a little bit more benefit of the doubt, because I did come back for another session of Ghost Hunter Core because I was like, well, I didn't like Phaz the first time either, so maybe playing another time when I actually know what I'm doing will be more fun. And it wasn't. But
I'll bring you back a third time, god damn it.
Oh my god, we'll see about that. But the oh my god, what's it called? Specifically the tutorialization of Phasmo, I think, kind of did it right, because those initial, like, the super easy mode that you initially only have unlocked is just like, hey, the ghost doesn't do anything for 5 minutes. So for 5 minutes, or other than leave evidence. So for 5 minutes, you can just walk around the house and explore and like figure out what you're supposed to be doing.
And take your time. Yeah.
And take your time, which, obviously I didn't like, and I found really boring, and I was like, what am I supposed to do here? But I think, with proper going into the tutorial and figuring out kind of like how to actually even do a thing, it's like, oh yeah, these initial levels of easing you into how these things work, getting you familiar with the maps and the equipment, that's pretty good, Yeah,
and then it even has its own, which a lot of these games don't. Like even Ghost Exile, which just came out, like there's an option on the main menu, tutorial, but it's grayed out and just says coming soon. Phaz has that tutorial level, where the ghost literally will not attack you regardless of how long you stay in the house, regardless of what your sanity is at, because they're like, no, we want you to learn the basic tool shit and figure out what to do. And
we're giving you a safe thing to just test. We're giving you a test space.
Yeah, and you get used to the audio design and seeing the different ghost events and how to use the different equipment and all that, and it's neat. It's fun. Although I didn't do
Yeah,
that, because I'm an asshole.
going forward, it'll be really interesting to see how they're going to keep pushing the envelope and keep innovating it, because I think if they keep trying to go down the same route for too long, it'll just start to stagnate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like
as long as the games that are coming out aren't going to be afraid to take risks and incorporate a lot newer gameplay elements and
yeah.
And these are the spaces to do that. The small indie devs really shouldn't be afraid to kind of push the envelope.
Mhm.
It's where a lot of innovation happens. It's you're you're like a solo dev, and it's scary and you want to, make an impact and make money. But you can't just rely on being the next Angry Birds or whatever, for example. Because that was one that had a lot of clones early on.
If you're gonna make a fast type game, try to put a unique spin on it and do your own unique shit with it. Because if it's just a copy paste job and you just shit it out onto the marketplace and in early access and go, well, it's early access, don't judge it too hard. People are still gonna judge it because you're expecting people to pay their hard-earned money for a game, and if it's super, 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 super buggy and unpolished and unplayable, it's just going to get refunded, or you're not going to really have any players playing it.
Yep.
You gotta keep at it, and that's one thing I can say with the so at least with some of the games in this genre is these devs do seem to understand that where even if they release their game and it's in a really fucking janky state, like Obsidio, they are constantly pushing out new content and they're constantly pushing out bug fixes. And to their credit, making a game is really fucking hard, especially if it's a solo dev or especially if it's a small team. And it's even fucking harder when you're doing a multiplayer game because there's so many internet variables to take into account. Like, it's a fucking nightmare. So I want to cut them some slack, but then I played like that Sunmi thing, and it was just that game. According to Steam, just got a version 1.1 release, and I do want to give it a little more time and maybe play it with somebody else to see if there is something there. But it left such a sour taste in my mouth that I gave up on it after 20 minutes. As opposed to like Ghost Hunter Core, where I think my first solo stream of that was like an hour or two, and same thing with Obsidio and Forewarned and Ghost Exile, where it's like there's jank and there's stuff that's pissing me off, but it's like I'm able to appreciate stuff of just like, okay, this is kind of neat or whatever. It's fun.
Yeah. So I guess
don't guitar hero it.
Yeah. I guess maybe this is now kind of like closing thoughts on Phasmophobia and Phasmo clones and the sort of, I don't really want to like the ghost hunting / I guess the ghost hunting genre of indie games. I personally, again, I really like this space. I like having essentially it boils down to it's a co-op detective game, and I'm a big detective game fan, so I just really like having kind of like a chill, I get to solve puzzles with friends, and there's like a nice shiny coat of like horror paint on top of it, where I'm hunting ghosts. So that's my take on it.
I think it's nice that we've got a horror game trend in the spotlight that has substance to it. Like the walking simulator trend was frustrating. The Five Nights at Freddy's phase was very frustrating.
Yeah.
The Slender phase was frustrating.
The Slender phase was a nightmare. But now we've got a trend of games that actually are very enjoyable, and they have a lot of room for expansion and evolution, and hopefully the devs that are probably working on projects as we speak are going to not be afraid to push the ticket a little bit and get some more innovative shit out there, because I'm definitely curious to see what becomes of it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm just happy to have my inner Zak Bagans come out and get my ass ate.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. It's
Banana running around like shark fin.
It
Yeah.
was my default persona when I started Phasmo. I walked in and I was like, "You fucking
yeah.
pussies, get out here!"
Yeah,
I still
absolutely.
have some
You like to
clips.
eat ass ghosts?
I still have some
And then I heard, Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I still have some clips on my channel of you when we were playing and you're just walking around. I was like, yeah, what up, you pussy? What are you gonna do? It's like, oh, Banana, you're at like 20% sanity. I don't need no fucking sanity pills.
I booted up this game at 20 insanity.
I was
I
born
ran.
crazy.
And then it's like the second the ghost starts hunting, Banana's just like, oh shit, fuck, run.
He's coming. Well, especially after I heard that the dev added in that the ghost would recognize insults and swears and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, oh hell yeah, this dev understood the assignment, and so I really went in thick with it.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I also kind of love the fact that like to cycle back before I get to my closing thoughts, that there was so much misinformation about Phaz at the start because the dev was very adamant about not really diving in, like explaining too many of the mechanics. So
Yeah.
it was a general assumption that we all assumed was a gameplay feature, that the ghost could hear you during a hunt. And then we found out 4 months after the fact that wasn't a feature, but the dev liked that idea so much that it became a feature. And it's like, fuck, what did we do?
Luckily, we'd all been practicing already, so
Yeah.
sucker.
Sucker. Yeah, I guess my closing thoughts is it's similar to all of yours. It's like it's a very zen-like experience. I prefer co-op multiplayer games as opposed to competitive stuff, so you know that helps a lot. And the fact that it's very puzzle-like with that vibes with what I like in survival horror. I like puzzles, and by puzzles I don't mean walk in one room and pick up an object and then walk to another room and take it there. Like, I want there to be a little bit more thought, which is kind of the problem with a lot of modern walking sim horror games, which is why I don't really vibe with them all that much. And the fact that there still is a genuine risk. I am excited to see how the genre continues to evolve, and I'm hoping that more devs will take this concept and apply it to different things, kind of like Forewarned. My only other thought is DK, please implement custom difficulties so I can load in with 0 sanity without having to wait for 40 goddamn minutes. So I can go back to Saber gets his ass eaten within 30 seconds on 0% sanity asylum, baby.
Bring back my mimic ghosts, please.
Yeah, bring back the mimic ghost, please. Even if it's as a ghost event, that shit is the stories I've
They were so cool.
The stories I've heard and the videos I've seen of that are super fucking neat. And the little we've experienced of that in Forewarned is really exciting. And when we were playing Obsidio and we heard when we read that one of the ghosts is apparently able to imitate other investigators, like, we got so excited. We still haven't seen that yet, but it's like, that's so cool. It's like that subtle creepiness of, like, you think you're standing next to your buddy and it's like, oh no, it be ghosting.
And then it makes ghost face.
Wow. Yeah. And we've I think you mentioned this, but we've seen it in Forewarned that it's one of the creepiest effects to just be like, wait, is that you? You're walking at me? Oh my god. Like,
oh no. Yeah, it's
so good.
It's super creepy in Forewarned, seeing the I can't remember the mummy's name, but just ominously walking towards you, and you're just like, I don't know if that's you or not.
Yep.
And
it's pretty great.
It creates so much more tension that just normally wouldn't be there.
So we should move on to our weekly recaps, because I think we're coming up on the 2.5 hour mark.
Winding this down, yeah.
So BananaBoat, typically we like to kind of like leave off our viewers with like sort of what we've been experiencing outside of the Goon Squad, so to speak. So we'll just talk a little bit,
we've been
like,
up to.
Yeah, like for about like 15 minutes about like different media we've consumed, whether it's, books or TV shows or movies or games or, what have you.
Good shit.
So what you
So-
been doing?
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Mhm.
quick. One thing that I did recently was finally finish Dark,
Mm.
which
the TV show.
the TV show. It's on Netflix. It's a
Mm.
German thriller.
How
I
was that?
cannot recommend that fucking show enough. Holy
Mm.
shit. So from what I've gathered about it, and like people out there who might listen to this, if I said something incorrect, I'm sorry, but from what I gathered about it is that they started, before they even went in to make the show, they wrote the whole thing start to finish. They're like, we are making 3 seasons. That is it. So because of that, everything is closed up. Everything has a purpose. And it's I don't want to like spoil anything
Mhm.
because it's so good,
Oh.
but everything is tied up and tied together. And when you finish it, it is just fucking insane. And I've been like obsessed now with like the subreddit and looking at diagrams online to like pinpoint things and connect things together.
Can you give us a one or two sentence elevator pitch for like what the show's about?
Small town in Germany experienced some unexplained events after someone's son goes missing.
Ooh, okay. That you checked all my boxes right there.
It is.
I will have to check that
So
out.
fucking good. Yeah, like, and the music is so perfect. Like, I've also been binging through all the soundtracks from all 3 seasons. The casting, I don't want to give it away, but once you look at the casting and you look at the actors, well, like as their characters, like all together, like if you put them next to each other, it's so good. It's so good. I legit thought some people were CGI. I was like, there's no way that these 2 actors look this closely related. And then I'd look it up and I'm like, no, it's actually 2 different fucking actors. Like the casting is just insane. Yeah.
Nice.
10 out of 10 for sure. And the
Cool.
shots are beautifully done. Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else you feel like bringing up?
No, that's been the thing. I'm already rewatching it. Like,
nice. How many episodes is it?
It's, I think if I remember correctly, it's like for 3 seasons, it's like 7, 8, 10, or maybe 7, 10, 10 or something like that.
Okay. That's not too bad.
Yeah, and I think a big thing about it, because I don't want to spoil it because it's like the big twist of it.
No spoiler cast.
Restraint.
I really just want to emphasize that like it is a type of story that needs things answered and like to make sense of the rules, and they fucking do it so well. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, maybe we'll do another Gooncast on it or something at some point.
Hell yeah,
if
bring me
everybody's
in.
interested. Yeah. Lee, what you been up to?
Mine's been very quick actually. Still making my way through Kingdom Hearts 3. I am going through what the fan base has been touting as the worst world in the game, which is Frozen.
Oh, really?
And it sucks.
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay.
I would agree with that.
It's rough. Like, so it takes place at the point in the story where Elsa has gone off to make her ice palace, and Sora's like, I gotta go talk to her because like light and dark and Kingdom Hearts stuff. And 3 times I have been thrown down the side of the mountain.
Oh my god.
To have to climb back up. And
so it's become the Sisyphus level.
it's become self-aware. Like I get to the top and then a villain throws me off. And then I get to the top and then an avalanche happens and I have to slide down the mountain and then start over. And then I get back up to the top and then something else yeets me off the side. And then the game becomes self-aware because Sora lands and looks up just kind of off camera and goes, wow, good thing the snow is so soft because of how often I'm getting thrown off the side of this mountain. Like, verbatim, that's what he says.
Wow.
And I went, you motherfuckers. It's pain. So I've been making slow progress through that. What I'm currently binging, and I actually just finished an episode of before we started up the pod today, is season 4 of Cobra Kai.
Oh, okay.
Cobra Kai is the shit.
That's the YouTube show?
Yeah. So
Cool.
for those of you who are not in the loop, Cobra Kai is a spin-off of the Karate Kid movie series, which I did not watch as a child, and I still have not watched.
Oh.
And I love this fucking series. It's
Has the
kind
series inspired you to watch it at some point, or?
Hell no.
Okay. I dig it.
No.
You only need to see
gimmick
the
is
first one. Don't watch Karate Kid 2, 3, or 4.
well, that's the funny thing is that this series does incorporate plot elements from all of the sequels.
Is
And
Hilary
tries
Swank
to
on it?
like. I haven't come across Hilary Swank yet, but we've gotten to the villain of Karate Kid. I think it's 3, who's
God.
like this coked out goon with a ponytail,
Sounds bad.
and they are they're making canonical steps to like make it make sense of like, oh, he was just super intense all the time because they have officially made it like an in-character drug problem, and he had PTSD from Vietnam.
Oh.
He's like, yeah, I came back from Nam and I didn't know how to function, so I was hiding in the drugs. And it's like, oh, you guys are actually taking steps to like make that outlandish acting make sense. Okay, cool. But yeah, it's the idea of the bully kid from the first movie has had his life ruined by the fact that he lost a children's karate exhibition.
Yep.
So like they're like him and Daniel, the main character of the movie, are like 40 now. Daniel's got like a successful car dealership. He's totally like, you know, he's gone on and made a successful life for himself. And poor fucking kid from the first one got beaten in a karate tournament. Life ruined. He's like a 40-year-old alcoholic. He like can't hold a job, all this shit. And the short version is they wind up restarting their karate dojos, and it's sort of like anti-hero as the main character, and it's just super fucking good. It's got a little bit of that like 90s, early 2000s primetime drama cheese to it. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It hits just the right amount of tongue in cheek. It really embraces what it's doing. And the best part is that while it's totally trying to take advantage of nostalgia and like 80s hype, it doesn't overdo it. It's not trying to make you have the member berries over the 80s.
That's
which,
good.
Thank you. Like, it references it just enough and keeps, just a few references in there. But yeah, great series. I'm just about done with season 4 right now. I think I've got like 3 episodes left. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Very cool.
That's been my week.
Cool. If you don't mind, James, I guess I'll go next.
Yeah, go for it. I've literally done shit except for ghost hunting games in the last week or so.
Okay, cool. So one of the big things that I did this week that like I guess kind of should be talked about, but I'm also so lukewarm on it that I'm like, I barely have anything to say about it, is I watched The Eternals.
Oh.
Yeah, and my consensus on it is probably more favorable than the critical reception, but like also just like I don't think it was anything. Like it was just a very weird. It's one of the lesser Marvel movies, and that's basically it. Where it's just like none of the characters are very interesting, but there's still like superhero action. So like if that's what you're into, this is that. It's basically just another team up movie, but without any characters being established. Which I don't think any of them needed to be established because they're very one-dimensional. They're all just like they're just gods who, it turns out, all the gods from ancient religions are all basically just these human robot aliens from like from the Celestials.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I had heard
It's-
someone explain it as it's not really a Marvel movie at all until you just hear them mention some of the main Marvel characters that you'll know of, and then you're like, oh, I guess this makes it a Marvel movie.
Yeah, somebody name drops Thor. Somebody name drops like, why didn't you do anything about Thanos? And like one of the big criticism I think I remember seeing online was like, oh, these people are so powerful, but like they didn't do anything to stop all of these terrible things that happened while they were living on Earth. And it's like, you guys are being overly pedantic, I think, because the movie does explain why they didn't, and it's just like, I can cut it some slack by like, of course you need a hand-wavy excuse why these superpowered individuals haven't shown up before.
Yeah.
It's because they're not popular Marvel entities, and therefore we wouldn't have put them in the movies yet. But like now that Marvel is this fucking behemoth, now it works.
Yeah,
right? But it's just
you could even
I'm like,
apply that
whatever.
to like Captain Marvel with the earlier ones, where it's like, oh, you have Captain Marvel existing. Why didn't she come back? It's like, because she wasn't introduced yet. She's off doing something else, all right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what? Just like, you can suspend your disbelief enough to just go with it that, like, yeah, okay. They'll give some hand-wavy excuse, like, other planets exist, and it's like, sure, whatever. I don't complain about that.
Honestly, too, like, with even that criticism, you can apply it to almost every single Marvel movie. Like, I haven't seen the new Spider-Man movie yet. But you could apply it to the new Spider-Man movie of, oh, the multiverse is collapsing and there's all these additional villains coming in. Why aren't the Avengers showing up?
Exactly. And it's just like, who cares, guys?
Or
like,
Thor the Dark World.
We're not in that universe.
Yeah.
Like, you could just throw their own world back at them because it's supposed to be a multiverse. It's like, well, I guess they just didn't make a movie about that verse.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because these movies would become too bloated otherwise.
Yeah, we've already talked way longer.
Already?
We've already talked way longer about the Eternals than I wanted to. It's okay if you have Disney Plus. It's just like, yeah, you can watch it, whatever. It was not. I had no like. I watched it and I was like, that was a movie, and then went on with my life.
I would only watch it because Richard Madden is pretty.
Yeah,
and I just want to look at him.
That's fair. That's fair. And then two other things, I guess, is I've started, replaying a bunch of the old Holmes games. So that's all what's happening on my stream. I finished the Cthulhu Holmes, the Awakened, which was it's a fun game. It's a very janky game. You can see kind of like the bones of what eventually becomes like their kind of like bread and butter with the investigations, but for the start, at least, it's very like asinine adventure game that's not very well made. But it's still a good time on stream, and I'll be playing Lupin soon. And then the other thing is fucking Attack on Titan's back, babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
with a sick new metalcore intro.
Yeah. Oh my god, I was so pumped. So yeah, they've got so just the first episode of season 4 part 2 dropped last week. And yeah, I remember almost nothing about what's going on in that show, but I love it. The animation looks so good for this season. You can tell that they're like, oh yeah, no, we're putting money into this, right? And yeah, I'm really excited to see. This is supposed to be the conclusion, so
sweet.
I'm excited to see how it all ends. I know Attack on Titan's like super popular. I liked season 1 a lot. Season 1 and 2 are pretty good. Season 3 goes really off the rails in my opinion and gets a little bit too. It just gets a little bit too wacky for my tastes. But season 4 brought it around to a concept that I personally find really fascinating, and the way they did it, I was just like, holy fuck, I can't believe they're doing this, and it's fucking awesome. So, yeah, like, it was great.
All right, AOT, love it.
Yeah, so that's basically been my last couple of weeks, is just Holmes, some shitty Marvel movies, and Attack on Titan being back.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Jam?
For me, like I said, I've just been ignoring my Twitch responsibilities and getting sidetracked like a goldfish constantly. and doing ghosty games. I mentioned it, briefly during the, our ghost investigation thingy. New Ghost game came out, Ghost Exile, and it is very, 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 very much a Phas clone. It does some really cool, unique stuff. Like, audio design is really fucking strong, and I want to cut it a lot more slack than some of the other ones, because I would say that thus far, even though there definitely is some jank to it, this is the most polished launch of a ghost hunting game since Forewarned, maybe. When you take into account that apparently the current version of Ghost Exile was made in 3 months, that's kind of insane.
Wow.
There's some unique little details to it where, like, in Phasmophobia, you go into a mission and you're immediately fed what the ghost's name is. That's the only other ghost hunting game where the ghost's name is applicable. In this particular game, you actually do not know that going in, and you actually have to search the house and find identification to find out what the ghost's name is. And like, okay, that's really cool. It could potentially, on bigger maps, get to be a little tedious, because where the ID spawns is RNG, and it spawns in a drawer, so you have to kind of go and open all the drawers. But, like, at least for the smaller maps, it does add a little bit more investigation element to it, which is kind of neat. They crib the whole, the breaker starts off and the house is colder when you first get in. But, like, on higher difficulties, a fuse is missing from the breaker, so you actually have to search and find the fuse, which I think is it's neat, and it gives you a little something more to do outside of just immediately start calling the ghost a pussy to try to get evidence. And there's also a separate heater system that's usually somewhere in the house that you actually have to turn on to warm up the house. Unlike Phas, where it's just you turn on the breaker and all of a sudden the house magically it warms up. Here you actually have to power up the heater, and that's kind of neat. There, it's the first ghost hunting game that has actually implemented EVP, which is kind of cool. It has motion tracker as an actual piece of evidence, where, like, it actually shines a different form of light in the event that it's evidence. It has an exorcism element, but I haven't touched that yet, because this did the Forewarned thing where certain pieces of equipment are locked behind higher levels and whatnot, but they tie evidence to that, and it's like, I'm not too keen on that element. I'd rather be able to find all potential evidence just starting out, and just have, as I level up, I get gear to make that easier or to keep me safer.
Yeah.
But it's overall, I think, a really solid effort. It's fun, but again, it very much is just Phas, but a little jankier and not quite as fully fleshed out. But again, I haven't done the exorcism element, so I don't know how that functions. I really hope that it can evolve and form its own identity, as opposed to just being Russian Phasmophobia. But, we'll see. I also recently played, for the first time, Dead by Daylight, and I like the concept of it, but playing with Randy Killers is a little frustrating.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the Dead by Day. I'm not a fan of BananaBoat. I know you've played a lot of Dead by Daylight, so you probably have a more informed opinion than James or I.
I think you guys would start liking it more once you understood the game more, so you can be a piece of shit like the Killers too.
I think that's the problem with a lot of asymmetrical games, is people want to introduce their friends because that's where the fun is, and playing. You either play as a big group or you play solo and you gank nerds. But it does feel very inaccessible as a new player. And I hate QuickTime mechanics.
It is very much built for people who have now dead sunken eyes and play the game for hours upon hours, because it is very much just cheese strats versus cheese strats.
Yes.
And you need to know those stupid ass cheese strats. Like one of the
Mhm.
people that you were playing with last night, he said it really perfectly, where it was just like, yeah, it's funny playing with noob killers. You realize that even the pro, like the rank 1 killers, they do the same thing. Like they full circle themselves because the game starts out and it's hard. So you face camp and tunnel vision. And then you play the game and you try other things and you try to figure out. And then you get to the rank 1 and it's hard because survivors are good now. And so you just face camp and tunnel vision, which completely defeats the purpose of the actual game. And I think this is kind of on the devs to try to find a way to balance better. And like the purpose is to stop the survivors from getting out and completing gens. But instead, killers will just focus on, I'm just going to kill one person and make their life miserable and make this game miserable for them.
Yes.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah. I felt that a lot last night.
It's all about griefing each other. And then when you get in rank 1, though, it really is on both sides. It's about griefing each other, because you get the survivors who are really good at Benny Hilling it.
Yeah.
And just like running around pallets and stuff and just like fucking with killers. And on the flip of that, the killer will then just be like, well, I'm just going to focus and kill this person and make their game miserable because they've made my game miserable.
Yes.
Yeah, I really love asymmetrical horror games. I have played Dead by Daylight since like its beta or something, and I've watched it grow, and I still just am left like unfulfilled, honestly, because for a long time the servers were killer hosted, so there was no game if there was no killer.
That's exactly what happened to Resident Evil Resistance.
So I'm sure the same thing happened, where all the devs started doing was just listening to killers complain and then crafting the game to whatever these non-devs, non-designer kids are saying, and which would then skew the gameplay so hard and just really silly things that I would see that the killer mains would complain about on online forums about survivors. It was like, well, you guys run faster, you have killing abilities, like to balance the game, survivors need to be able to stun you. Why are you crying about being stunned? That is a game mechanic. Get the fuck over it and get good. Like, and then instead the designers are like, we've removed the ability to stun. We've nerfed the flashlights. Like, and it's just like, okay, then just make this a killer's game, because that's what it is.
Yeah,
and then you'll hear the opposite, though, where killers are like, it's a survivor's game. Oh, you're just a bad survivor. And it's like, no, the devs really do craft it to a killer's wants.
Yes, absolutely. And yes, it's a tricky balancing act, because you are like a 4-man squad that really, really knows what they're doing, that it's just like the SEAL Team 6 of the game. Like, we'll stomp killers. Like, that's just, it's 4 people versus 1, you know, that's kind of the trade-off. But like, you know, one person having an arsenal of really overpowered abilities is the counter for that. But then you have to understand that you're almost never going to get SEAL Team 6 every time, right?
That, and also, instead of being like a boohoo to fool, like use your abilities to your advantage and stop getting like caught up on the fact that you can't instantly hook all 4 survivors and kill them. Realize that, okay, they're fucking with me, they're doing this, and use their strategies against them and use your abilities to your advantage. Like, that's when I see killers who just camp and tunnel vision, I'm like, you're not good at the game. I feel like if you're good at the game, you don't do that stuff and you still win.
I played a lot of Evolve, and that was very much like what evolved into as well, where it was just the monsters would, especially in low ranks, which I was admittedly in, I was not very good at the game, but low ranks there would be a meta, because the studio would unbalance one character to balance it at like higher level play, where it would just be like, okay, now Kraken's flight ability we buffed it, and then it's like, okay, cool, so now low rank is going to be exclusively flying Krakens that never touch the ground and you cannot hit. Like it's just like, okay, that's incredibly lame to play through. And I would always when I played Monster, which I mean, Killer Monster, same thing. When I played Monster, I would always also try to like strategize, like maybe not optimally because I didn't win that much, but like if I was good, it would have still worked. But everyone that I played against would always be like, this was way more fun than any of the other matches I played because you were actually playing the game as opposed to just using cheese strats to just try to win. And that's what I feel like all the Dead by Daylight games we played for us. It was just all cheese strats, and I don't know any of the counter cheese, so I'm left.
Yeah.
I'm left dairy free.
Yeah, it's a tricky balance. Like as I was mentioning last night, that was kind of the thing with Resident Evil Resistance, where although in a much shorter amount of time since that game lived and died within the span of a couple months,
like 6 months.
Yeah, and I always wanted to be like a more strategic mastermind, and that was always where I would get like the most satisfaction whenever I would play as a mastermind. And like
and you were also always really fun to play against. It was the people that would just do the creature spam or the insane builds where you're just like, oh god, I don't have a counter for this. I'm not high enough level to have a counter for this.
Well, you say
I looked up what Swing Point and Tide Time did this morning and copied their builds.
Yes, exactly.
You say I was really fun to play against, but then you guys banned me from playing masterminds in private match.
Yeah, because at a certain point it just became like we couldn't.
I know.
Like it was just
I'm just giving you shit because I never did mastermind.
Well, because it was like, okay, who it was like, there were only 4 of us that were part of the core squad, so we would invariably rotate in a 4th person who didn't play as much as us. Yeah, and then it was just like, okay, well, James is just gonna win every single match. So
basically, I'm gonna bully Q nonstop.
Yes. No offense to Q. She was wonderful to play with, but it was just like we can't.
Yeah, I know. I know.
It needs to be a squad of 4 people who know what they're doing, and even then, you just get mastermind. And anyway,
even as a survivor,
we've gotten off topic.
Even as a survivor, it was a lot of fun until it just became nonstop creature spam, and then that was just like. Nonstop creature spam or nonstop turret spam. That was just like obscene. And like, I think Capcom had something special and they just kind of gave up on it too quickly. Like this could have been something that they introduced more masterminds. Like where's the Albert Wesker mastermind? Where's the Carlos Oliveira Survivor and all these different other characters that they could have implemented?
I think Dead by Daylight's staying power is definitely. Like there's something to it that James, you and I don't think have hit yet.
Yeah.
Right? Because it is a game that's existed since 2016, right?
Yeah.
Maybe earlier if BananaBoat was playing in beta.
Yeah. 2016 I think was official release though.
Yeah. So like obviously this game and the fact that there's still players, even though like the queue times can be a little long, it's still like it's not like Evolve was a year out where it was just like 3-hour waits and you would maybe get one game. It's like,
One of my favorite things was on release on a multiplayer game, they did not have it so you could queue with your friends.
Oh no!
That was an afterthought. So when the game was first live released and I was trying to play online with people, it was literally, okay guys, 1, 2, 3, queue. And then you would try to hope, and you would we would do things like everyone would put their Steam servers in the same region and try to queue up together. And it was like, okay, kind of if it was 2 of you, but if it was 3, it fucking forget it. It was going to be so hard to find a game together. And that was like a huge thing at the beginning where I was like, how do you release a game like this and not make it so people can queue together?
Yeah,
you guys made Payday and Payday 2 at this point. God. You know how to do this.
Oh, they made Payday? I didn't even realize. That makes a lot of sense because I also didn't like Payday. I played a couple hours of that with friends and I was just like, I'm not digging this.
much like you guys, or I guess Saber specifically, have played like the plethora of ghost hunting games because of the genre being such a touch to your heart. I loving asymmetrical. I've played so many of them, especially after Dead by Daylight, and I've kickstarted a ton as well, like Hide or Die. Last year, The Nightmare was another one that I kickstarted. And
BananaBoat, you and I are like exact opposite ends of like the same exact, because I love asymmetrical horror, and that's why I got so into Evolve, even though it like didn't reciprocate my feelings, you know. And then after Evolve kind of tanked, I had a bunch of friends who I would play with who moved on to like Dead by Daylight or the Jason game or like a bunch of other things, and I was just kind of like, I can't do this again.
I can't get my heart broken again.
Exactly.
In some ways, I want to tell you that you made a good decision, because I am a scorned lover to Dead by Daylight. After like thousands of hours in that game, I don't even want to look at how long I've really put into that, because it's a lot, and it just will make me angry.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my point that I was going to get to overall is like, I have played a lot. I've played the Friday the 13th, the Jason game that you're talking about, like Home Sweet Home, Deceit, like all these asymmetrical horror games. And time again, all bugs aside, it always boils down to balancing. Like they for whatever reason with this, it's such a great idea, but then always a shit execution. They just, I don't know what the answer is either. I'm not going to pretend that there's some easy answer. And I'm sure it's really hard trying to find a balance, but I think like,
I mean, clearly none of these people working on these games are bad at their jobs. It's just a very
not
complicated problem.
It is. Like as a player, personally as a player, my big gripe that I ended up having with Dead by Daylight specifically was the fact that it's been so skewed for so long, and they would just keep pumping out new stuff for the killers, continuing the skewingness, and then just skins. And I'm just kind of like, and then at one point because they used to do Twitch shows where the devs would sit down and talk about their game, and some of the head devs like admitted, they're like, well, I've actually haven't played the game. And after seeing that, I was kind of like, let me explain why it's so unbalanced. Also, it's just kind of discouraging as a player to just see that and be like, come on, man, I put so much time into this. I love this game. Please don't hurt me. But yeah, it's just, balancing is really hard.
Yeah, I
for sure.
I want to play more of it. It just doesn't like me at the moment, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, there is a hump that I think once you get past and you understand the cheese, but then at the end of the day, it's like you may end up being like, well, now this is boring. Whereas before it was frustrating and annoying, and now I'm just bored.
Now it's just the grind, and it's like, all right.
I wanna stick with it just because I was that asshole who decided being like, I see Silent Hill and Resident Evil, I'm gonna spend money on these fucking skins, so I just don't want them to go to waste.
Yeah, well, you kind of pushed all of us into into play with me now.
Play with me. Like, I need people to play with.
All right. I mean, I will gladly keep going with you, just to, because I like hanging out with you and I like playing with you. But if you were like, Kat, are you gonna play more on your own?
No,
probably not.
I know that.
Hey, I bought the Hell Priest, and y'all are ducking me. Y'all are scared.
I want to stop coming.
After a very long hiatus,
make you come.
I am willing to play some games with you guys just because it'd be fun to play with you. That being said, I the other day was going to join James, and I had to patch because I haven't played in so long, and my update was 54 gigabytes. So that gives you an idea of how long it's been.
Shit. Yeah, but I want to play with you, girl.
Yeah. I am a scorned lover, but as you know, those 1am texts is you up, bring me in.
Getting you in. Yeah. I bought Dead by Daylight. Kat and I bought Dead by Daylight because of you, Banana, 2 years ago, and just we never.
We talked about it at work. No, when she would talk about you guys playing the Resident Evil one, I was like, oh, I'm playing Dead by Daylight, and we'd like kind of. Bond over that, and we'd be like, we should play together, and I would just end up watching you guys stream it.
Mm-hmm.
which was great.
But genuinely, we were like, oh, we should at some point, because BananaBoat knows Dead by Daylight, so she could be like our guide through it.
But I think part of that was why I was like, well, I'm not going to really push him to play it. as I queue up.
And then I guess the only last thing I've been doing, and I do this multiple times, so it's nothing noteworthy, is I've just been currently rewatching the entirety of Red Letter Media's Best of the Worst. It's a time sink because there's 119 videos in the Best of the Worst playlist, but there's so many choice moments and there's so many just god awful fucking movies that they sit through that are just bafflingly bad.
Yeah, I watch a lot of Red Letter Media like to fall asleep to, because it's really
the soothing tones of Rich Evans.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's great. They're great. They're fun. It's a nice podcasty atmosphere that's just like, also some jokes. It's good. It's either that or riff tracks, so.
Or this.
Or this, yeah.
Or Corpse Party, apparently.
Oh. No, I pay attention to Corpse Party.
Hell yeah, you do.
Yeah.
That's not second monitor content.
Exactly. How else would I see EDM BDSM Nana twirling across the screen?
Lee, send me BDSM Nana so I can maybe implement it in the podcast. I'm not doing that, but
oh man.
Yeah, so I guess this should wrap it up. Let's do the outros. Banana, since you're the guest, go first. Where can we find you? What content do you do?
Twitch.tv/BananaBoat. I stream when I feel like it. So good luck. If you show up and you catch it, congratulations. Also, I'm on Twitter, twitter.com/Ashley Devane. You won't skip much other than some sweet retweets, but if that's your thing, it'll be on your timeline.
Hell yeah. And some cute dogs.
Yeah, and cute dogs.
I see the Xeno.
Oh yeah, dog photos.
Yeah.
Of my boys.
I am once again Cat Attack, aka the Attack Cat, on Twitch. Streaming every once in a while. I think we're gonna, over this long weekend, we might try to kick off the next Holmes game. We'll see if I have time. And yeah, you can also catch me getting ganked by killers on James's streams.
Yeah.
And this has been your boy, your favorite Cenobite Pain Daddy, Lee Alder, the Valley Jester. You can find my shit currently inactive over at twitch.tv/ValleyJester. I've not had the time to get on and stream, but we will be getting back to it with FF7 Remake on PC. And of course, my website, lealdercreative.com, where I would have had some new content, but it was all on a laptop that got stolen by some skis bag in my neighborhood. So
Great.
Updates will be coming to that when I have the will to rewrite these projects.
Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry, dude.
Yeah, it's a fuck situation, but hopefully that gets sorted out soon.
There's no sorting out to occur.
Well, I know.
But...
I mean, your will.
That's never coming back.
All right.
My will is long dead.
Well, with that depressing note, which is a fitting segue to me, this James, aka Saber0307. You can catch me on Twitch at the same, or on YouTube with the same. Stream frequently. Been putting off all the Extra Life shit and the other Back to Ghoul shit, which needs to get finished, but I'm too preoccupied as a fucking stupid goddamn magpie by shiny objects and ghost hunting games. I
was gonna say.
Yeah. And with that, y'all take care of yourselves, stay safe, be excellent to each other, and just always remember that evil dies tonight.
Oh god.
And don't steal shit.
Spoiler alert.
Shit.
Yeah.
Evil didn't die tonight. It dies a year from now, maybe. But not really, because they said they're gonna make more. And also everybody get fucked.
This is a real ghost town. A real ghost town is this place. It is a smorgasbord of evil. This lockdown We're gonna be stranded in the middle of absolute nowhere. Nowhere. Nowhere.
Look at my body.
My body. My body. My body. My body.
An energy burst went through my body, bro.
My body. My body. My body. My body.
Dude.
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 Go right through my body. There's a weirdness in the air right now in here, and I can't explain it. And I just feel weird. I feel weird.
Dude. 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 All of us are holding our cameras at the same time, bro. 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 Dude. Bro. Dude. Bro. Dude. Bro.
You coming at me? That, you jumble it all together, is a great big ball of darkness, death, and haunting. There are hundreds. There's hundreds. 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 Hundreds.
Whoa.
That right there is what I'm feeling.
Dude.
That right there is a spirit going through
My
here.
body. My body.
Whoa.
My body.
Dude.
My body.
Look at my body.
I'm gonna whisper right now, because we are in the middle of nowhere. You have reached your final destination. Hell.
Hell. Hell. Hell. Just in case.
My body,
Machete. My body. Something up.
like breaking the seal.
To my body. My body. My body. My body.
Yes!
My body.
Yes!
My body. My body.
Oh my god!
Show yourself.
Bro.
There's hundreds.
Show yourself to that camera.
Bro.
Hundreds.
Yeah, I'm taunting you.
Hundreds.
Bro.
What are you gonna do about it?
Hundreds.
Come on!
Oh my god, dude.
Hundreds.
Bro.
There's hundreds.
Bro.
Try and find some buildings and go in them. Go in them. Go in them.
If you get lost, just keep going.
Go in them. Go in them. Go in them.
Very bad things occurred.
My body. My body.
My body.
My body.
My body.
My body.
My body.
My body.
My body.
My body.
Go right through my body.
Out of nowhere. Dude, that's pretty dangerous, man.
That's why I'm gonna do it.